Chapter 4055. Of course, there were advantages and disadvantages to the three of them moving together. The disadvantage was that their battle prowess was not strong enough. A team could set up a battle formation with powerful battle prowess, as long as they did not encounter any divine Lord Realm experts. Even if they encountered a large group of demons, they would be able to charge over and defeat them. However, if there were only three of them, even if they relied on their killing weapons, if they encountered a large group of demons, such as 109th level Divine Emperor Realm demons, they would definitely have to flee. With so many demons attacking together, the power was extremely shocking. Lu Ming was not afraid of relying on his Tier 2 Heavenly Soldier battle armor. But Dandan and Ling Yue were in danger. If a large number of demons set up the 10,000 demon god slaughtering formation and trapped them, Lu Ming would be in danger after a long time. Therefore, their later actions became more secretive and cautious. They didn't attack the powerful islands and only hunted the abyss devils that were alone or in small numbers. The three of them restrained their auras and headed towards the depths of the Star Devil Island. A day later, they had already passed through 7 or 8 devil islands. There's a group of demons in front of us. There are less than 100 of them. Should we make a move? Below the lake, Dandan said. They hid under the surface of the lake while Dandan set up a formation to investigate the situation outside. After a day, they finally encountered a small group of demons. Less than 100? Then let's do it. Lu Ming decided. If there were less than 100 of them, it couldn't be that all of them were at the 9th level of the Divine Emperor Realm, right? Even if they took 10,000 steps back, even if they were all at the 9th level of the mythical realm, they should be able to escape unscathed if they were prepared beforehand. All right, they're heading east. Let's go east too, Dandan said. Immediately, the three of them headed east at the bottom of the lake. As they hurried along, Dandan also set up a formation. Talisman scripts were constantly being emitted from various parts of his body, disappearing into the lake water. At the side, Ling Yue was extremely envious. Dandan's method of setting up a formation was truly miraculous. After a while, "We're here. The demons are right above us," Dandan said. In fact, there was no need for Dandan to say anything. Lu Ming and the rest could sense that there was a strong demonic aura above the lake. 31 cultivators of the 9th godly emperor layer. The others have the strength of the 8th or 7th godly emperor layer, Lu Ming muttered. At such a close distance, they could already sense the cultivation of the demons above. The three of them looked relieved. There were only 31 demons of the 9th godly emperor layer. It was still within the range that they could handle. However, they did not act immediately. Instead, they secretly followed the demons because the Dandan needed time to set up the formation. After a while, Dandan finished setting up a set of formations. "You can attack now," Dandan said. "Then let's do it." Lu Ming nodded. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. As soon as he said that, the three of them dashed towards the surface of the lake. At the same time, Dandan had already activated the formation. On the surface of the lake, under the demons, countless talismans suddenly appeared, and a gigantic formation appeared. This formation was a trapping formation. Chains extended from the surface of the lake and wrapped around the hundreds of demons. In a flash, at least a few hundred chains appeared, like the tentacles of an octopus. It was terrifying and evil. "Enemy attack!" shouted one of the demons. In a flash, over 100 demons attacked. Demonic chi soared to the sky. They attacked the chains one after another, making clanging sounds. The chains were broken one by one. However, it was a formation that Dandan had spent a lot of time setting up, so it was not easy to break. Some of the demons, who only had the strength of the 7th godly emperor layer, were bound by the chains. As soon as they were bound by the chains quickly tightened, like pythons catching animals. At that moment, Lu Ming, Dandan, and Ling Yue had already rushed out of the lake. Whoosh! As soon as Ling Yue rushed out of the lake, she shot an arrow. An arrow shot out, 1 divided into 2, 2 divided into 4, 4 divided into 8. 1 arrow turned into dozens of arrows, shooting towards the demons who were bound by the chains. Those demons had low cultivation levels, so they were bound by the chains and couldn't move. They couldn't dodge the arrows. Pooh! Pooh! Those demons' heads were all pierced by the arrows, and they died on the spot. At the same time, Lu Ming also attacked. He held the zephyr pearl in his hand, and a violent gale swept out, attacking the demons in front of him. A few screams sounded. In a flash, at least 10 demons were killed by the gale. Most of them were of the 8th godly emperor layer, but there were also 2 of the 9th godly emperor layer. It's the bastards of the ancient, desolate universe. Damn it, counterattack. Those demons roared furiously and started fighting back. However, they were in the middle of Dandan's deployment spell. Dandan kept controlling the chains to attack those demons, causing them serious interference. If they weren't careful, they would be bound by the chains. Easy. The bowstring vibrated and the blood-stained elven royal bow shone. An arrow shot out, aiming at a demon of the 9th godly emperor layer. With a bang, that demon was killed on the spot. When Ling Yu's cultivation level was still at the 2nd godly emperor layer, she could already fight against a cultivator of the 9th godly emperor layer with her full strength. At the 3rd godly emperor layer, she could kill a cultivator of the 9th godly emperor layer with her full strength. Now, her cultivation level was at the 4th godly emperor layer. She didn't need to use the elven royal bow to kill cultivators of the 9th godly emperor layer. She hadn't used her full strength a moment before. Without using her full strength, she could use more attacks. Lu Ming didn't use the mysterious ice staff. He just used the zephyr pearl. With his current cultivation level and his great godly wind technique, the strength of the zephyr pearl was enough to kill a cultivator of the 9th godly emperor layer. Whoosh! Whoosh! Strong winds turned into wind blades and flew out. Those who were hit by the wind were killed instantly. In just a few breaths of time, they had killed more than half of the hundreds of evil demons, leaving only 40 or so. Among them, 20 had the strength of the 9th godly emperor layer. Set up the deployment spell, shouted a demon. He wanted to set up the 10,000 demons, god-slaughtering, great deployment spell. But how could Lu Ming and the others let them succeed? Dandan used his full strength to control the deployment spell and separate the demons so that they couldn't join hands. Ling, you kept pulling the strings of her blood-stained elven royal bow, aiming at the demons of the 9th godly emperor layer. She kept shooting arrows. Each arrow could kill a demon of the 9th godly emperor layer. On Lu Ming's side it was the same. Strong winds were whistling as one demon after another fell. After a few seconds, the number of demons of the 9th godly emperor layer decreased from 20 to a dozen. Chapter 4056. Whoosh! Lu Ming released a strong wind, which swept towards a demon of the 9th godly emperor layer. That demon's skin was dark purple, and he looked ferocious. He didn't try to dodge the wind. He shouted furiously, "Heavenly Palace! Bastard, die!" Swish! Swish! That demon's claws were extremely long and sharp. He kept clawing at the strong wind. Sizzle! When his claws collided with live foam, there was a violent collision sound. In the end, the devil retreated, but live foam was also blocked by him. How strong! Lu Ming's eyes twinkled. That demon also had the strength of the 9th godly emperor layer, but he could block Lin Feng's strong wind. That meant he was much stronger than ordinary cultivators of the 9th godly emperor layer. Clearly, this abyss demon was a genius among abyss demons. His combat strength was far above ordinary abyss demons. Roar! He let out a roar as his body began to swell. Numerous malevolent bone spikes extended from the surface of his skin, making him look even more ferocious. "I'll hold him back. You go and kill that bastard," shouted the demon. He was obviously talking to another demon. He threw himself at Lu Ming. His claws were even sharper than before. He could easily tear apart godly weapons. Strong wind die. Lu Ming held the gale pearl in his hand. Another gust of strong wind rushed out from the gale pearl, turning into a wind blade and charging toward the demon. Clang! The attacks of the two sides collided, bursting out with a powerful force. Some of the surrounding chains formed by the ray formation were also shattered by the force. The other demons who were close by were directly injured by the force of the blast. They hurriedly retreated and put some distance between them. Roar! A terrifying roar spread in the air. It came from a demon with red skin. That demon looked like the other demons, but his skin was red like fire. He dashed toward Lu Ming from another direction. As he dashed out, his body emitted blazing flames. A demonic saber that was emitting flames appeared in his hands. He moved extremely quickly towards Lu Ming. Whoosh! On the other side, Ling Yue also noticed this demon. She pulled the Elf King's bow that was stained with blood and shot an arrow. A terrifying arrow shot towards the fiery red demon. In an instant, the arrow approached the demon. Slash! The demon roared and slashed out with his saber, colliding with Ling Yue's arrow. A violent explosion sounded out, as if a star had exploded. In the next moment, Ling Yue's arrow actually shook violently, and with a bang it exploded. As for the red-skinned demon, he only took 2 steps back. Powerful! This demon was also very powerful. He was definitely not weaker than the demon with bone spikes all over his body. He was actually able to block Ling Yue's arrow, even though Ling Yue did not use her full strength. It seems that there are 2 fiend geniuses here. A thought flashed through Lu Ming's mind. Instead of being shocked, he was delighted. The more talented an Abyss Devil was, the more merit points their Abyss Devil spirit blood could be exchanged for. Last time in the 8-Snake Mountain Range, the Demon Prince Samoras had given him a total of 60,000 merit points. This made Lu Ming feel nostalgic. Roar! The fiery red-skinned Abyss Devil only retreated slightly before roaring and pouncing towards Lu Ming. He wanted to cooperate with the Abyss Devil to deal with Lu Ming first. His speed was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, he was in front of Lu Ming. The Abyss Devil with bone spikes all over his body also roared and attacked. His sharp claws tore through the air as he grabbed towards Lu Ming. If he was caught, Lu Ming's body would definitely be torn apart. However, at this time, a snow-white staff appeared in Lu Ming's hand. Ice Xian Staff. Lu Ming activated the Ice Xian Staff with all his strength. Forbidden power crazily gushed out and poured into the Ice Xian Staff. The Ice Xian Staff rapidly expanded and swept out. Boom! Boom! The Ice Xian Staff collided with the attacks of the 2 fiend geniuses, causing 2 explosions. The Abyss Devil with bone spikes all over his body gave a horrible shriek. His bone spikes broke apart one by one. His body shook violently as he was pushed backwards. The 2 fiends who had the strength of the 8th godly emperor layer were killed. He coughed up large mouthfuls of blood and was tightly bound by a chain. The other Abyss Devil with flames around his body didn't fare any better. He was sent flying backwards like a meteor. The flames on his body were extinguished in a flash. At the same time, he was also wrapped around by a chain. Then a layer of ice appeared on their bodies. The ice layer quickly spread and froze them. The 2 fiends' eyes were wide open. Their vitality was quickly fading away. In the blink of an eye, their vitality was completely gone. This was after Lu Ming had controlled his strength. Otherwise, if he had activated the Bingxian Rod with all his might, he could have blasted the 2 demons into smithereens. However, if his bones were crushed, he wouldn't even be able to obtain the fiend's spirit blood. That would be a great loss. Therefore, Lu Ming had controlled his strength and didn't blow them apart. Oh no! Hurry up and run! When the remaining fiends saw that the 2 fiend geniuses had been killed, they were terrified. They scattered in all directions. They didn't have the slightest will to resist. However, under the obstruction of Dandan's formation, as well as Ling Yue and Lu Ming's killing weapons. The fiend couldn't escape. After a short time, all the fiends were killed. After that, Lu Ming and the others collected the fiend's spirit blood and quickly left. Not long after Lu Ming and the others left, a group of fiends flew over. They had obviously been alarmed by the battle just now. Unfortunately, they had already lost track of Lu Ming and the others. After a short time, they appeared in a different place. They encountered another group of fiends. There were only a few dozen of them. Among them, there weren't any strong fiends. Lu Ming and the others easily killed them all. After that, they left. After that, they went everywhere looking for fiends to kill. Of course, they were much more cautious than before. After all, they had seen the strength of the fiends' geniuses. They couldn't be underestimated. If they encountered a terrifying monster among the fiends, whose strength was at the 9th layer of the divine emperor realm, even if they had a great killing weapon, the result would still be unpredictable. Sure enough, 10 days later, when they were hunting a group of fiends, they encountered a terrifying fiend. This fiend's cultivation was at the 9th layer of the divine emperor realm, but his battle prowess was shockingly strong. Lu Ming estimated that he was comparable to a genius who could fight across 2 levels. Lu Ming activated the mysterious ice rod with all his strength, but he couldn't do anything to this fiend genius. In the end, it was Dandan and Ling Yue who cooperated with Lu Ming. The 3 of them worked together to kill this fiend genius. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed since Lu Ming and the others entered the starry demon island. On this day, they were walking under the lake when they suddenly felt a violent explosion coming from the lake in front of them. There were people fighting. Chapter 4057. Lu Ming and the others were below the surface of the lake. They could clearly feel that there was an intense battle in front of them. This was because the fluctuations were too intense. The vast energy surged violently. It was difficult not to sense it. What a strong fluctuation. I'm afraid there are quite a few battles between the 2 sides. Let's sneak over and take a look, Ling Yue said, revealing a curious expression. Let's go. Lu Ming nodded. They had a formation set up by Dandan on their bodies that could hide their auras very well. They were not afraid of being discovered. They planned to get closer to see if they could find an opportunity to take advantage of the situation. If there was an opportunity, they might as well make a move. If there was no opportunity, they could just sneak away. Soon, they arrived not far away from the formation. They extended their spiritual senses and quietly observed. Immediately, the situation outside was completely revealed. Outside was an island. On the island, demonic aura soared into the sky, covering the sky and the sun. At this moment, a large number of demons formed the 10,000 Demons God slaughtering formation. More than a dozen huge demons stood between heaven and earth, fighting with a group of people. The ones fighting with the demons were naturally the heavenly soldiers of the heavenly palace. There were a total of 4 teams. The 4 teams formed a battle formation. 4 sword lights soared into the sky, fiercely clashing with more than a dozen demonic shadows. The 2 sides continued to fight, but the battle was only a draw. People from the angel race. A cold light flashed in the eyes of Lu Ming and the other 2. Among the 4 teams, one of them was completely formed by the geniuses of the angel race. Seeing the angel race, the 3 of them had no choice but to reveal their killing intent. The spirits of Een from before were sent by the angel race. It would be great if these angels were scattered. Ling Yue muttered. Dandan, is there any way to break the other party's battle formation? Lu Ming asked. If they wanted to deal with the angels and take revenge on them, they had to break the other party's battle formation. Otherwise, they wouldn't be a match for these angels. The power of the battle formation was too strong. There's no other way. This kind of battle formation of the Heavenly Palace uses runes as the foundation and is integrated into the battle armor. I have no way of breaking it. Dandan shook his head. Then we can only observe and see the situation. Lu Ming said, They continued to hide under the lake to observe the situation outside. The battle between the devils and the heavenly palace continued for 2 hours. In the end, the 4 teams from the heavenly palace were at a disadvantage and retreated together. The demons did not chase after them because the strength of the 2 sides was similar. Even if they did chase after them, they would not be able to finish off the people from the heavenly palace. The 4 teams from the heavenly palace retreated far away and rested on an island far away. Lu Ming and the other 3 quietly followed and observed in the dark. Not long after, the 4 teams rested and gathered together to discuss for a while. Then, the 4 teams actually separated and flew off in 4 different directions. It seemed that the 4 teams felt that they could not deal with the demons on that island, so they split up and went to other islands to hunt demons. Should we follow them? Dandan asked. Obviously, he was asking if they should follow the angels. Let's follow them and see. Lu Ming said. His eyes flashed with a cold light. He was not so easy to talk to. The angels had secretly sent people to kill Lu Ming. Lu Ming did not intend to let them go. Moreover, in that team, there were familiar prodigies like Lafitte of the angels. Lu Ming concluded that the spirits of Nether were sent by Lafitte and the others. As long as he got rid of the angels, he would be safe for a period of time. He would not have to worry about being assassinated. This was a way to solve the problem once and for all. The 3 of them secretly followed. Half a day later, they saw a small island. There were many devils on this island. However, the number of fiends on this island was much smaller. The angels directly attacked. The fiends on this island weren't very strong, so they weren't able to form a battle formation in time. Therefore, they were easily defeated by the angels. After defeating the devils on this island and collecting the devil's spirit blood, the angels left this island and continued to hunt for devils. In the next few days, the angels found a total of 3 devil islands. They defeated the devils on these islands and obtained a large amount of devil spirit blood. During these 3 days, Lu Ming and the others followed behind the angels. However, they did not find a chance to attack. On the 4th day, the angels found an even bigger devil island. This devil island was even bigger and more vast. There were many devils on this devil island. Devil Chi soared to the sky. It formed the 10,000 devil gods slaughtering array. There were dozens of huge devil shadows. However, these devils were at a disadvantage. This was because there were more people from the heavenly palace besieging the devil island. There were a total of 10 teams. They formed a battle formation and besieged the devil island. When the angels saw that the heavenly palace had the upper hand, they immediately rushed forward without hesitation and joined the battle against the devils. With the addition of a team from the heavenly palace, the devils were at a disadvantage. It seems like the devils are going to lose. When they lose, we will secretly attack and see if we can kill some devils and obtain some devil spirit blood. Lu Ming said. This island was very big. It was probably a top-notch island among the astral devil islands. There must be many devil prodigies on this island. Naturally, they wanted to kill some and obtain some devil spirit blood. The battle continued. However, the scales of victory were slowly tilting towards the heavenly palace. Slowly, the devils could only defend. They had fewer and fewer opportunities to counterattack. They were suppressed by the heavenly palace. If this continued, it was only a matter of time before the devils were defeated. Bastards from the heavenly palace, die! Suddenly, an angry roar came from the sky. Rumble! The entire world trembled under this loud roar. Then, a huge devil blade appeared in the sky. It cut through the void and slashed towards one of the teams from the heavenly palace. It was terrifying and filled with devil chi. Oh no! It's the devil emperor of the devils. The faces of the people in that team changed drastically. There was a devil emperor in the sky. This was an existence that was equivalent to the celestial emperor realm. It was too terrifying. It was impossible for them to dodge it. Activate the battle formation with all your might. Block it. The team leader of that team shouted. They activated the battle formation with all their might. It turned into a huge golden sword light that rushed into the sky and collided with the devil blade. Boom! There was a shocking roar. Golden and black light filled the whole sky. The violent force swept across the world. However, this resistance only lasted for a breath's time before the golden sword light crumbled. The demonic saber didn't stop. It continued to slash at the group. With a boom, the group's battle formation was directly destroyed. Miserable screams rang out. At least half of the group of 50 people were killed by the terrifying power. Chapter 4058. The existence of the Demon Emperor realm was too strong. With one move, it destroyed a large formation, causing at least half of the team to die. However, this was just the beginning. Immediately after, in the sky, there was another demonic saber light that slashed down violently. And this time it was not one saber light, but two saber lights. Two pitch-black demonic sabers slashed down at the two teams. One of the teams happened to be the team of the Angel clan. The people of these two teams were pale, without a trace of blood, and their eyes were filled with fear. However, at this time they had to fight with all their might. They could not sit still and wait for death. Full force, resist with all your might. Burn your divine power. Loud roars were heard. At this moment, the people of the two teams were fighting with all their might. The divine power in their bodies burned fiercely, stimulating the power of the large formation to the extreme. At this time, no one cared about the consequences of burning their divine power. If they did not fight with all their might, they would lose their lives. Under the full force of the two teams, the power of the battle formation was stimulated to the extreme. Two golden saber lights soared into the sky. However, the existence of the Demon Emperor realm was too strong. Even if they burned their divine power with all their might, the result was already destined. With two violent roars, the battle formations of the two teams exploded. Miserable screams were heard, and flesh and blood splattered and scattered on the surface of the lake. Even if they burned their divine power to resist, they could not resist the attack of the Demon Emperor. Their situation was only slightly better. Fewer people died in each team, but each team still lost about 20 people. As for the others who did not fall, unless they were second-rate heavenly soldieress, all of them were more or less injured, suffering varying degrees of damage. Run, run! The remaining people screamed in terror and tried to flee in all directions. Without the battle formation, it was too dangerous for them to participate in such a battle with their true strength. However, how could those demons let go of such an opportunity? Kill! Kill them! Angry roars were heard as the demons activated the 10,000 demons god slaughtering formation. Suddenly, a few tall demonic shadows stepped on the void and attacked those who had lost the battle formation. Swoosh! A few huge demonic sabers slashed at these people. Among them, there was a huge demonic shadow that brandished the demonic saber and slashed at the angels. The expressions of the angels changed, their faces turning deathly pale. This slash was sent out by the myriad demon god slaughtering array. They had lost their battle array and could not withstand it at all. If they were hit, they would definitely die. You guys retreat first. At this moment, a figure stepped out from the group of angels. This was a young genius from the angel race. He was the captain of this team. Whoosh! Angel wings stretched out from his back, and holy light soared into the sky. A total of 5 pairs of wings. This was a 10-winged angel, the same as Lafitte. However, his cultivation was much stronger than Lafitte's. 7th godly emperor layer. The young man from the angel clan had the strength of the 7th godly emperor layer. His name was Sarah. His entire body was suffused with dense holy light, and the 2nd-class celestial soldier armor on his body was activated, forming a light barrier that enveloped him. At the same time, a cross-shaped holy sword appeared in his hand, emitting a terrifying aura. This was his ultimate weapon. He had the strength of the 7th godly emperor layer, and he was a 10-winged angel. He was terrifyingly strong, and with his deadly weapon he was even more terrifying. He stood in front of the gigantic demon and slashed out with his sword. Holy light burst out, and the holy light sword was thousands of li long. It moved towards the gigantic demon. Boom! The sword of holy light collided with the demonic shadow's demonic blade, causing a violent explosion. However, it only lasted for 2 breaths before the sword of holy light crumbled. Even though Sarah was terrifyingly strong, he couldn't compete with the gigantic demon. The gigantic demon had been sent out by the myriad demon god slaughtering array. There were at least 100 demons of the 9th godly emperor layer and over 1,000 demons of the 8th and 7th godly emperor layer. The holy light sword broke apart, and the demon blade crashed onto Sarah's body. His celestial soldier armor shook violently. In the end, he managed to block it. "Run!" shouted Sarah furiously. He told the other young geniuses of the angel clan to run away. At that moment, the demon, Great Emperor, attacked again. The demon blade cut through the sky and continued moving towards the people of the heavenly palace. The people who were surrounded by the demon blade looked desperate. "How dare you!" At this moment, a furious roar resounded through the sky. The void suddenly split open, and a figure appeared. That person was wearing golden armor and holding a spear. He was dazzling with golden light. A terrifying chi surged out of his body. When that person appeared, he threw his spear, and it pierced through the sky. It collided with the demon Great Emperor's demon blade. An earth-shattering explosion sounded. The demon blade had been blocked. "Great Emperor! It's the Great Emperor, a first-class celestial soldier." The people of the heavenly palace cheered. The Great Emperor of the heavenly palace had arrived. The Great Emperor's eyes were as sharp as swords. He shouted furiously, "Your opponent is me. Die!" As soon as he finished speaking, he took a step forward. The entire world rumbled as the spear pierced out, seemingly piercing into the depths of the universe. Roar! A terrifying roar sounded in the sky. The sky cracked open and a gigantic demon appeared. The demon's wings blotted out the sky. He was holding a demon blade. The demon blade slashed out. Boom! Boom! The 2 divine emperors and demon emperors fought fiercely against each other. For a moment, the void above them was filled with chaos. The scene was terrifying, and it was hard to tell who was the winner. The battle between the great gods and demon great emperors didn't affect the battle below. The battle below was still intense. The demons were using their full strength to activate the 10,000 demons, slaughtering God Great Formation. The gigantic demons were entangled with the remaining battle formations of the heavenly palace. The gigantic demons were chasing after those who didn't have a battle formation. Previously, there were 3 teams whose battle formations had been destroyed by the demon great emperors. The demons were targeting those people. People were being killed continuously. The angels were doing better. Sala blocked the gigantic demon alone. The geniuses of the angels were happy to be safe. However, Sala's situation wasn't good. The second-class celestial soldier armor he was wearing was said to be able to withstand a full-strength attack from a cultivator of the first great supreme god layer. However, after the continuous attacks, it was in danger. Boom! In the end, the second-grade celestial soldier armor's defenses were destroyed, and the berserk energy slammed into Sala's body. Sala cried out as half of his body exploded, and the rest of his body flew out, coughing up large mouthfuls of blood. He had been heavily injured. However, after Sala's continuous attacks, the angels had retreated far away. They were almost out of the range of the 10,000 demons, slaughtering God Great Formation. Chapter 4059. Let's go! Retreat! Immediately, an angel rushed over and caught Sarah. Then, they flew back and left the island in the blink of an eye. The demons didn't chase after them. After all, the 10,000 demon god slaughtering array also needed to be set up in advance. Without the array, its power would be greatly weakened. The demons continued to fight with the other members of the heavenly palace, while the angels fled without a trace. There were originally 50 of them, but only 26 of them escaped in the end. The other 24 had been attacked by the demon emperor and the 10,000 demon god slaughtering array, and had fallen one after another. Should we chase? Dandan looked in the direction of the angels' escape, his eyes shining. Of course we have to chase. The corner of Lu Ming's mouth curled into a sneer. Weren't they waiting for this kind of opportunity by following the angels? Now, was there a better opportunity than the one in front of them? Only half of the angels were left. Without the support of the battle formation, they were all injured. If they didn't make a move now, when would they? Immediately, the 3 of them secretly chased in the direction of the angels' escape. As for the battle on this demon island, they couldn't be bothered to care about it. Soon, the angels reappeared in their field of vision. They followed them all the way. The angels flew for a few hours and found a small island without demons. Then, they landed on the island to rest. Mu Yin, are we going to make a move now? Ling Yue asked. No, now is not the time to make a move. Lu Ming shook his head. Although there were only 26 angels left and all of them were injured, there were still many powerful existences among them. For example, that Sarah. Sala was already heavily injured, but there were also a few other 10-winged angels. 2 of them had higher cultivation bases than Lafitte. This kind of angel usually had a great killing weapon. If they rushed forward now, they might not be able to annihilate all of them. That's right. What Lu Ming wanted was to annihilate all of these angels. If they charged forward now, even if they could kill a portion of them, they definitely wouldn't be able to kill all of them. This wasn't what Lu Ming wanted. After a while, the injuries of these angels will probably be healed. Ling Yue was rather worried. It's fine as long as the angel captain hasn't recovered from his injuries. This guy's injuries are very serious. He definitely won't recover so quickly. After Lu Ming finished speaking, he looked at Dandan and said, Dandan, it's up to you now. Set up an illusion array that can trap these angels. No problem. As long as you give me some time, I guarantee that I'll be able to set up a large formation so that these angels won't be able to escape. However, how do we get them to enter the formation? Dandan said, I'll do it. Lu Ming said, don't they want to kill me? If I appear in front of them in a seriously injured state, do you think they will come after me? Ha ha ha, wonderful. Dandan laughed loudly, and Ling Yue also revealed a smile. Lu Ming immediately left the island and found a place. Dandan began to set up the formation, while Lu Ming sneaked back to observe the angels. Time flew by quickly. Very quickly, half a day had passed. At this time, Lu Ming received a sound transmission from Dandan. The formation had been set up. With Dandan's current attainments in runic formations, it took him half a day to set up the formation. From this, it could be seen how powerful this formation was. At this time, the injuries of the angels had basically healed. Of course, Sarah's injuries were too severe, and he didn't have a heaven-defying physique like Lu Ming's. Naturally, he wouldn't be able to recover so quickly, and his aura was still very weak. You guys wait in the formation. I'll lure the angels over soon. Lu Ming replied to Dandan's message. Then he took out a sword and stabbed himself in the chest, creating a hole that went through his chest. Blood continuously flowed out, dyeing his face red and making him look like he was heavily injured. Then Lu Ming quietly left the place. When he was far enough away, Lu Ming rushed into the sky and flew towards the island where the angels were resting. He had a panicked look on his face. Rumble. The elites of the angel race looked toward the source of the voice and saw Lu Ming right away. That kid. It's Mu Yin. It's Mu Yin. That kid is still alive, but he seems to be severely injured. His aura is very weak, and he's running for his life in a panic. He must have encountered those from the Dark Star. That guy from the Dark Star is also a piece of trash. Didn't he say that he would definitely deal with Lu Ming? He actually managed to escape. But it doesn't matter. This kid's luck is really bad. He actually escaped to our place. He's destined to die in our hands. As soon as they saw Lu Ming, these angels immediately started discussing, especially Tu Lafit and the others. They even revealed a cold, murderous intent. At this moment, Lu Ming, who was flying in the distance, seemed to have just discovered the angels. He hurriedly stopped and revealed a frightened expression on his face. Then he turned around and left. It's too late to leave now. Chase him together. Don't let him escape. Bring his head back to see young Master Gabbert. He will definitely reward you handsomely. These angels roared and turned into streaks of light as they chased after Lu Ming. Almost all of the 26 angels were on the move. They chased after Lu Ming. There were 2 reasons for doing so. First, they were afraid that Lu Ming would run away. If they moved together, they would see how Lu Ming could escape. Second, this was the constellation Devil Island after all, the territory of the devils. Now that their battle formation had been broken, they didn't dare to split up. If they split up, it would be more dangerous for them to encounter the devils. Angels! Lu Ming pretended to be frightened and shouted. Then he unleashed all his strength and flew in the direction of Dandan's battle formation. As for the angels, they were hot on his heels. Lu Ming was seriously injured and alone. This was a good opportunity that was hard to come by. How could the angels let it go so easily? Both sides, one chasing and one fleeing, were very fast. Soon, they arrived at the place where Dandan's battle formation was set up. Lu Ming directly rushed into the battle formation set up by Dandan. The angels behind him didn't notice him at all. Among the angels, there was no lack of people who were proficient in runic formations. However, their attainments in runic formations were far inferior to Dandan's. Moreover, this battle formation was set up by Dandan after half a day. It was completely hidden in the void and didn't reveal any clues. These angels didn't notice it at all. The 26 angels followed closely behind Lu Ming and rushed into the battle formation. Chapter 4060. Rise! Once all the angels had rushed into the area covered by the formation, Dandan shouted softly, "Let's go!" As Dandan's voice sounded, a huge formation appeared in the sky. Endless runes spread and intertwined. It's a formation. Oh no, we've fallen into a trap. Damn Mu Yin, you're courting death! The angels roared. They were not stupid. As soon as they discovered the formation, they knew that they had fallen into a trap. Lu Ming was pretending to lure them into the formation. Charge out! Some of the angels roared. They gathered together and wanted to charge out. However, at this moment, the environment suddenly changed. These angels found that they had arrived in a boundless purgatory. Countless undead spirits rushed towards them from all directions. For example, zombies, skeletons, evil spirits, and so on. They roared and pounced towards them ferociously. The angels were shocked. They launched a fierce attack. Beams of dazzling holy light burst out and bombarded the undead spirits. The undead spirits were instantly defeated. However, the undead spirits were defeated. More rock spirits appeared from all directions and rushed towards them. They charged forward at a very fast speed. However, after charging for a long distance, they realized that they still hadn't rushed out of the range of the formation. They were still in the formation. Illusion, these are all illusions. We're in an illusion formation. An angel prodigy who was more skilled in formations finally realized what was going on and shouted. So it's an illusion formation. The angels' hearts relaxed a little. An illusion formation was better than a killing formation. 2 of the angels did not resist the undead spirits. They allowed the undead spirits to pounce on them. Since it was an illusion formation, the undead spirits in front of them were all illusions. There was no need to resist at all. Puff, Puff! Blood splattered everywhere. The two angels were directly torn apart by the undead spirits and died on the spot. What's going on? The other angels were shocked. Some of them did not intend to resist the undead spirits. At this moment, they hurriedly blocked the undead spirits. Damn it, the illusion of this great formation has already reached the point where it can pass for real. The illusion can also launch a physical attack. What a brilliant formation! An angel who is proficient in runic formations roared. What? The other angels had ugly expressions on their faces. This illusion formation had actually reached the point where it could pass for real. This was terrifying. If it was just an illusion formation, they could ignore these undead spirits and slowly find a way out. However, if the illusion formation still had the power to attack, then it would be troublesome. The threat of this illusion formation would increase exponentially. Attack space with all your might. The foundation of these illusion formations should be embedded in space. As long as space is destroyed, this battle formation, Sarah roared. Attack! As the angels blocked the undead spirits, they concentrated their power and attacked in one direction. Boom, boom! A huge explosion occurred in that direction. The void exploded into terrifying holes. However, the formation was not destroyed or weakened. They still did not rush out. Undead spirits were still rushing towards them from all directions. Outside the formation, Lu Ming, Ling Yuwei, and Dandan stood in the air. In their eyes, there were no undead spirits in the void in front of them. It was the same as before. He saw that the angels were running around in circles. They were running around in circles and attacking randomly. They couldn't see them at all. I spent half a day setting up this formation. How can they destroy it? Unless the Divine Emperor makes a move, hee. Dandan sneered proudly. Let's do it. Ling Yue opened her mouth and took out the Elven King's bow. Her divine power boiled and poured into the Elven King's bow. An arrow condensed. Swish! A terrifying arrow pierced through the void and shot towards the angel race prodigies. The arrow was aimed at an 8-winged angel of the 4th layer of the Divine Emperor realm. The 8-winged angel didn't seem to feel the arrow at all. The arrow flew into the illusion array. Only when it was 1 meter away from the angel's forehead did the angel feel a terrifying sense of danger. However, a distance of 1 meter was too short for Ling Yue's arrow. It was so short that the time needed was negligible. Even if he wanted to block it, it was too late. Pooh! The angel's forehead was pierced by the arrow and he died on the spot. Be careful, there's an ambush. The other angels roared. Pooh! In the next moment, another arrow was shot, and another angel's prodigy was killed. Ling Yue shot out 2 arrows in a row. Then she shot out a 3rd arrow. This arrow was aimed at Lafitte. However, Lafitte was not something an ordinary angel could compare to. His spiritual sense was extremely sharp. When the arrow was 100 meters away from him, he could sense it. A distance of 100 meters required a very short amount of time, but it gave Lafitte time to react. At all times, he held the angel's sword in his hand. At this moment, he subconsciously held it horizontally in front of him. Clang! The arrow hit the angel's sword and caused a violent vibration. Lafitte couldn't help but retreat. He was caught by the sharp claws of a stone spirit, and his body was almost cut open. Ah, Mu Yin, if you have the ability, fight fair and square. What's the point of hiding outside the array and sneak attacking? Lafitte roared. If you want to fight, I'll fight with you. At this moment, a cold voice came from behind Lafitte. Lafitte quickly turned around and saw a figure. This figure was naturally Lu Ming. Lu Ming held the ice Xian staff and looked at Lafitte coldly. He didn't look injured at all. His qi was vigorous to the peak. Mu Yin, die for me. Upon seeing Lu Ming, there was a cold, murderous intent in Lafitte's eyes. The angelic sword glowed and slashed toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming wasn't afraid at all. He waved his ice Xian staff and attacked Lafitte. Their attacks collided, and then Lafitte's body shook violently. He was forced back repeatedly, blood spraying out of his mouth. He almost lost his grip on the angelic sword. After becoming a celestial soldier, Lafitte had also entered the fortune tower, and his cultivation level had also increased. He now had the strength of the 5th godly emperor layer. However, Lu Ming's cultivation level was at the 3rd level of the divine emperor realm, which was only 2 levels lower than Lafitte's. Given Lu Ming's combat capability, even if he did not use his weapon of mass destruction, his actual combat capability was above Lafitte's. After both of them used their weapons, Lu Ming's fighting strength was even greater than Lafitte's. Lafitte, you're the one who called the spirits of Yin clan to kill me, right? Let me tell you a piece of bad news. The spirits of Yin clan have all died in my hands. Now, I'll send you down to accompany them, said Lu Ming coldly. He raised his ice Xian staff again. Chapter 4061. The mysterious ice rod carried a terrifying chill and a berserk strength chi as it pressed down towards Lafitte. The terrifying might caused Lafitte's expression to become incomparably ugly. Save me! Save me! Lafitte roared in fear. Mu Yin, you're courting death! How dare you! Kill! In the surroundings, the other experts of the Angel clan roared as they charged towards Lu Ming. All sorts of holy light, divine swords slashed towards Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming did not dodge, as if he did not see it. This was because the 2nd-tier heavenly soldier armor on his body had already been activated, and a layer of light enveloped him. Boom! 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 The attacks of the Angel clan landed on the light barrier, causing a violent explosion. However, they were unable to break through Lu Ming's defense. The 2nd-tier heavenly soldier armor was able to withstand the full strength attack of a 1st-layer divine emperor. How could these Angel clan geniuses break through it? Lu Ming stabilized his body. The mysterious ice rod did not stop and continued to attack Lafitte. Lafitte roared as his entire body was covered in holy light. He was going all out. However, in that move just now, he had already been severely injured by Lu Ming. He was unable to unleash his full strength. So how could he block Lu Ming's full strength attack? Boom! The mysterious ice rod pressed down, and the holy light on his body exploded. The angel's sword in his hand flew out. He screamed miserably as his body was torn apart, his body and soul destroyed. This 10-winged angel of the Angel clan was killed by Lu Ming. His storage ring was grabbed by Lu Ming. Swoosh! At the same time that Lu Ming made his move, Ling Yue was not idle either. She continued to pull on the Elf King bow that was covered in blood, and the arrow pierced through the air, killing an Angel clan genius. Mu Yin, Ling Yue, how dare you? You dare to kill us? The Angel clan will not rest until you are dead. Even if you escape to the ends of the earth, you will still die. The angels roared. Some of them wanted to take out the dream god Jade to spread the news. However, how could Lu Ming let them have their way? Lu Ming took out the zephyr bead. Strong winds howled and swept out, enveloping the angels. At the same time, Dandan was also using all his strength to activate the illusion array. The undead spirits were constantly attacking the angels, making it impossible for the angels to use the dream god Jade to transmit messages. Miserable screams rose and fell. Some of the weaker angels were killed one by Lu Ming and Ling Yue. Very quickly, out of the 20 or so Angel clan geniuses, only 3 were left. These 3 were the most powerful angels in the Angel clan. One of them was Chara, and the other 2 were also 10-winged angels with astonishing power. The 3 of them had bloodshot eyes as they desperately unleashed their power to protect themselves. Lu Ming wouldn't have been able to compete with Sala. After all, Sala had the strength of the 7th godly emperor layer, and he had a powerful weapon. However, Lu Ming was not afraid of him. He had been severely injured by the 10,000 demonic god slaughtering array and had not recovered yet. Boom! Lu Ming held the ice xian rod in his hand and exchanged blows with Sala. The two of them retreated at the same time. You want to kill me with just you two? No way. Just wait for the crazy revenge of my angel clan. Sala roared, his face grim. However, what welcomed him was Ling Yue's arrow. Lu Ming used the great divine wind technique to draw out the power within the zephyr bead, enveloping the other two angel clan geniuses and continuously killing them. At the same time, Dandan also used all his strength to control the illusion array to attack the two angels. For the time being, the two angels were trapped, while Lu Ming and Ling Yue attacked Sala with all their might. Sala had yet to recover from his serious injuries, and his remaining strength was about the same as when Lu Ming activated the ice mystic rod. In addition to Ling Yue, he could not block it at all. Moreover, the second-tier heavenly soldier armor on his body had already used up all of its energy during the great battle with the demons. It automatically retracted and hid in his body, unable to be of any use at all. After blocking a few moves, his body was invaded by the coldness of the ice xian rod. His body was covered in a layer of ice, and the terrifying coldness seemed to have frozen the blood in his body. His aura became weaker and weaker, and his strength became more and more empty. After two more moves, Ling Yue's arrow finally hit him. It pierced through his chest and created a large hole. Sala roared. He was not dead yet, and his body emitted a dazzling holy light. He roared wildly, wanting to self-destruct and perish together with Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming used the ice xian rod to suppress him. The terrifying chill directly froze him, and then a violent force bombarded his body. Sala didn't even have time to scream before he died. Although the remaining two angel clan geniuses were quite strong, the outcome was already decided. Under the siege of Lu Ming and the others, they were all quickly killed. Since then, this team of angels had all fallen. One of them had died at the hands of the demons, and the other had died at the hands of Lu Ming and the others. It could be said to be incomparably miserable, and their losses were heavy. These were the top geniuses of the angel clan. Among them, there were 4 10-winged angels. 10-winged angels, even in the huge angel clan, were extremely rare. Every one of them was a top-notch monster. In the future, when they grew up, they would become the mainstay of the angel clan. In fact, most of the backbone of the angel clan were 10-winged angels. After all, 12-winged angels were a minority among the minority. If the upper echelons of the angel clan knew about this, they would probably be so angry that their hearts would ache. Angel clan, this is considered interest. If you continue to target me, I will make you suffer an even greater loss. A cold light flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. After collecting all the angel clan storage rings, he burned the bodies of the angel clan's geniuses into ashes. They left this place and returned to the bottom of the lake. Then they took out the storage rings and began to count them. Haha, we're rich. After counting, Dandan grinned from ear to ear. The other treasures were nothing. The main thing they cared about was the evil demon spirit blood. There was a lot of evil demon spirit blood in the storage rings of the angel clan's geniuses. It was probably not much less than Lu Ming and the others combined. Although nearly half of the angel clan's geniuses had died in the battle with the demons, the other half of the angel clan's geniuses were relatively weak. These angel clan's geniuses did not have much evil demon spirit blood. The evil demon spirit blood was carried by the angel clan's geniuses, such as Sarah, Lafitte, and the others. This was a big harvest. Although this trip to the Constellation Demon Island was full of twists and turns, and the other members of the angel clan had died in battle, the amount of evil demon spirit blood they had obtained was astonishing. It was even more than the amount of evil demon spirit blood they had obtained in the 8-Snake mountain range. There was a lot of evil demon spirit blood of the 9th godly emperor layer. There were even more evil demon spirit blood of the 8th godly emperor layer and the 7th godly emperor layer. If they exchanged it for merit points, it would definitely be astonishing. It would definitely be more than the merit points they had obtained in the previous assessment. I wish everyone a happy new year and hope that you will be free from all diseases and viruses. Chapter 4062. The 3 of them kept the spirit blood and planned to divide it equally when they returned to Nantion City. After dividing it, the 3 of them left the place and continued to hide and hunt the devils. In the blink of an eye, another half a month had passed. In this half a month, the 3 of them didn't gain much. After all, they didn't have a battle formation and could only hunt down the devils that were alone or in small numbers. But during this time, the devils they encountered were getting fewer and fewer. Lu Ming and the rest guessed that the Heavenly Palace should have completely gained the upper hand and killed most of the devils. Also, the remaining devils should have retreated to the depths of Constellation Devil Island. Lu Ming and the rest didn't intend to go to the depths of Constellation Devil Island to participate in the battle there. Now that they didn't have a battle formation, if they encountered a large number of devils or God Emperor devils, they wouldn't even know how they died. The 3 of them planned to stay in Constellation Devil Island for a few more days. If they still didn't gain anything, they would return to Nantion City. On this day, they were moving forward at the bottom of the lake. Suddenly, Dandan stopped and said, "Tens of thousands of miles ahead, I feel a devil chi reaction, but it looks very weak." Dandan had been setting up a battle formation to check the devils around. "How many devils are there?" Lu Ming asked. "I'm not sure. It's blocked by a layer of devil chi, but the devil chi is weak. The devil's cultivation shouldn't be strong," Dandan said. "Then let's go and take a look," Lu Ming said. Immediately, the 3 of them went in the direction pointed by Dandan. Not long after, they saw a cave at the bottom of the lake. The devil chi was emitted from the cave. However, the devil chi wasn't very strong. There are indeed devils. I didn't expect that there are still devils hiding in this cave. It seems that they are hiding from the Heavenly Palace's experts, Lu Ming said. "Not good. Retreat quickly. This is a Devil Emperor level devil." Suddenly, Bone's voice sounded. "What? A Devil Emperor level devil?" Lu Ming was shocked. "Retreat!" Lu Ming shouted. "Hee, it's too late to retreat now." A cold voice could be heard coming from the cave. Following this, a ferocious demonic aura burst out from the cave and swept toward Lu Ming's group like a storm. Powerful and terrifying. "Block it," Lu Ming roared. However, the demonic chi was too fast and they were not prepared. It was too late for them to take out their trump cards. In their haste, they could only activate their celestial armors to block it. Boom! Boom! With a series of explosions, Lu Ming and the other 2 were sent flying. Lu Ming was still fine. He had the 2nd tier Heavenly Soldier battle armor and was able to completely block this power. As for Ling Yue and Dandan, their faces were somewhat pale as they spat out a mouthful of blood. Lu Ming was rather surprised. This was because the power of this attack was much weaker than he had imagined. Didn't Bones say that there was a Devil Emperor level devil in the cave? It was impossible for a Devil Emperor level devil to only have such a little attack power. It was normal for him to be able to block it. But Ling Yue and Dandan definitely wouldn't be able to block it. Even if they didn't die, they would still be severely injured. But now Dandan and Ling Yue had only suffered some minor injuries. This was a bit strange. Was this the power of a Devil Emperor level? The 3 little fellows from the Heavenly Palace have some strength? A puzzled voice came from the cave. Following that, a black shadow flashed, and a tall and sturdy figure appeared in front of Lu Ming and the others. This was also a devil, but his figure was even more burly. His entire body was surrounded by a dense demonic aura, and a terrifying pressure was emitted from his body. Devil Emperor. This was definitely the pressure of a Devil Emperor level demon. because the three of them had felt the pressure of a Devil Emperor level demon before. That Devil Emperor level demon had even defeated the angel race's battle formation, and it was very similar to the pressure of this Devil Emperor level demon in front of them. However, this demon's aura was very weak. This was because there was a hole in his heart. Inside, there was a golden light that was constantly corroding this demon's body. That was Buddha's light. The three of them recognized it at a glance. Lu Ming finally knew why this demon's attack wasn't that strong. It was because this demon was severely injured, and it was injured by an expert from the Buddha clan. Obviously, this demon was hiding in that cave to heal his injuries and was discovered by them. This demon's eyes were like copper bells as he stared at Lu Ming and the other two. His eyes were filled with greed as he roared, "Peerless monsters! 3 peerless monsters from the Heavenly Palace. This is definitely a great supplement. If I eat you guys, my injuries will quickly heal, and my cultivation will even take a step forward. Ha ha ha!" Blazing greedy. The demon's eyes became more and more passionate and greedy. Although the move just now didn't kill Lu Ming and the other two, he wasn't alarmed. Instead, he was happy. This proved that Lu Ming and the other two were peerless monsters. As long as he ate Lu Ming and the others, it would be very beneficial to him. As for Lu Ming and the other two, how high was their cultivation? No matter how strong they were, how strong could they be? Although he was severely injured, he was confident that he could easily take down Lu Ming and the other two. Boom! As soon as his voice fell, the demonic aura on his body crazily erupted. His burly demon body pounced towards Lu Ming and the other two. The demon lord tore through the void and grabbed towards Lu Ming and the other two. Even though this demon was seriously injured, the power of his attack was still very shocking. Without any hesitation, Lu Ming took out the ice mystic rod. All the taboo power in his body poured into the ice mystic rod and blasted it out. At the same time, Ling Yue also took out the elf king bow that was stained with blood and shot out an arrow with all her might. At this moment, Dandan also attacked with all his might. A large number of runes appeared on his body. The space between his eyebrows glowed, and the shadow of a word appeared vaguely. It was the word formation. The word disappeared in a flash. More runes rushed out of Dandan's body and formed a huge battle. A huge tortoise appeared and let out a roar that sounded like a dragon's roar before pouncing towards the demon. Boom! 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 3 violent explosions rang out. Strength overflowed in all directions, and demonic aura soared into the sky. Then a figure retreated backwards and crashed into a huge rock at the bottom of the lake. The huge rock exploded, and the lake water stirred up thousands of waves. This retreating figure was surprisingly that Demon Emperor level abyssal. This made Lu Ming, Ling Yue, and Dandan somewhat dumbfounded. So weak? Was this still a Demon Emperor level expert? They were originally so nervous that they were about to die. They attacked with all their might, afraid that they wouldn't be able to resist this Demon Emperor level demon. They didn't expect that with a single move, this Demon Emperor level demon would be sent flying. This demon is too heavily injured. A thought flashed through the minds of Lu Ming and the other two. They had seen the Demon Emperor level demon make a move before. Its power was extremely shocking, and it could destroy a battle formation on the side of the Heavenly Palace with a single move. It was far from the strength in front of them. Chapter 4063. In fact, not only were Lu Ming and the others dumbstruck, but the Demon Great Emperor was also dumbstruck. What was going on? The 3 little guys from the Heavenly Palace looked so weak. How could they be so strong? It wasn't that he didn't know how serious his injuries were, but he was a Demon Great Emperor. Even if he was seriously injured, killing a cultivator of the 9th Godly Emperor layer was as easy as pie for him. But a moment ago, he had been blown away by Lu Ming and the others. How was that possible? His mind couldn't wrap itself around the situation. However, Lu Ming and the others had already reacted. It turns out that he's a weakling. Haha, kill him. Dandan burst into laughter. In a flash, he created a gigantic turtle. It was the silhouette of the world godly turtle. It was incomparably huge. It moved towards the demon Great Emperor. Easy. Ling Yue pulled the bowstring again, and an arrow shot out. Lu Ming waved his Xian ice staff and attacked the demon Great Emperor. That's right, they directly attacked. They wanted to slaughter this devil, emperor-level devil. A demon Great Emperor's demon blood could be exchanged for a lot of merit points. A godly emperor-layer demon couldn't compare to it. It wasn't easy to come across a half-dead demon Great Emperor. How could they miss it? The three people's attacks were incomparably violent. Finally, the demon Great Emperor woke up. In a flash, his lungs were about to explode from anger. A few low-level godly emperors surprisingly wanted to kill him first. This had never happened before. Even if a godly emperor dared to attack him, he had to be at least a peerless genius of the 9th godly emperor layer. But Lu Ming and the others' cultivation levels were not high. The highest cultivation level was only the 4th godly emperor layer. They were too far away from the godly emperor layer. Shouted the demon Great Emperor furiously. Demon Qi exploded. A demon blade appeared in his hand, and he slashed 3 times. 3 blade shadows appeared and collided with Lu Ming and the others' attacks. A violent explosion sounded, and the 3 demonic saber shadows collapsed. The demon emperor was once again blasted away, smashing a large number of boulders. He spat out a few mouthfuls of blood, and his injuries were even more serious. The Buddha's light in the hole in his chest shone brightly, worsening the demon's injuries. Lu Ming and the others' confidence was greatly boosted after they managed to repel and even injure this evil demon a second time. It seemed that this demon had really reached the end of its tether. I'll block him from the front. Yue, shoot with your bow and arrows. Dandan, don't go all out to set up a formation. Set up a killing formation. Lu Ming sent a sound transmission to Ling Yue and Dandan, then flew up and smashed down with the ice profound rod. At the same time, the gale pearl appeared in his left hand, and a violent gale rushed out, rushing towards the demon overlord realm demon. The demon of the fiend emperor realm roared. He endured his injuries and slashed his fiend saber continuously toward Lu Ming. It collided with the gale and then with the Bingxian rod. Boom! Clang! After the 2 of them collided, Lu Ming's body shook violently. The mysterious ice rod in his hand buzzed nonstop as he retreated a few steps. After all, he was a demon overlord realm demon. Even though he was heavily injured, his strength was still astonishing. Lu Ming alone was still at a disadvantage. As soon as Lu Ming retreated, the demon overlord realm demon wanted to charge forward and kill Lu Ming. However, Ling Yue shot an arrow at him. This demon had no choice but to block Ling Yue's arrow and had no time to deal with Lu Ming. As for Dandan, he began to set up the array with all his might. Damn it! The demon overlord realm demon roared in his heart, his anger soaring to the sky. You little bastards, just you wait. The demon roared and wanted to escape. Being forced to escape by a few low-level divine emperors was a great humiliation, but he had no choice. He felt that if he continued to stay, he might really be finished off by Lu Ming and the other 2. However, how could Lu Ming let him escape so easily? Lu Ming held the mysterious ice rod in his hand and attacked with all his might. At the same time, the gale inside the gale pearl was constantly drawn out as if it was free. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The gale formed several tornadoes that surrounded the demon overlord realm demon and attacked him continuously. In addition to Lu Ming's attack, it was not that easy for this demon to retreat. Even if he could retreat, he would be attacked by Lu Ming. His injuries would be even more serious, and he would have to pay a price. Brat, since you're courting death, I'll fulfill your wish. The demon roared, his eyes ferocious, revealing a crazed look. His body began to stir. Inside, Bright red bone spikes protruded from his flesh and blood. His aura became a little more berserk. He pounced directly at Lu Ming and slashed at Lu Ming with his demonic saber. Clang! The demonic saber collided with the mysterious ice rod once again. The mysterious ice rod trembled incessantly and was knocked to the side. As for the demon saber, it continued to slash at Lu Ming. Lu Ming did not retreat. If he retreated, the other party would find an opening to escape. Lu Ming did not dodge or retreat, allowing the demonic saber to slash at his body. 1. The second-class Heavenly Soldier's armor kept trembling, but it was not broken. After all, the other party was not at his peak. For a time, he was unable to break through the second-class Heavenly Soldier's armor. Let's see how many moves you can block. Kill, kill, kill. The demon overlord realm demon roared crazily, and his aura actually increased a little. Obviously, he had gone all out and used some kind of desperate method. Generally speaking, this kind of desperate method would have side effects, but now he couldn't care less. He had a demonic saber in one hand and a demonic claw in the other. He crazily attacked Lu Ming's body. In the blink of an eye, at least a dozen attacks landed on Lu Ming's body. However, they were all blocked by the second-class Heavenly Soldier's armor. During this time, Ling Yue also launched an attack, but it was blocked by this demon. After continuous attacks, even the second-class Heavenly Soldier's armor had consumed a lot of energy. The light it formed dimmed down. However, Lu Ming still did not retreat. Kill! Lu Ming let out a long roar, and from the Zephyr Pearl, a strong wind howled out, sweeping towards the demon. At the same time, the Ice Xian rod attacked again. Let's see who can hold on. The demon overlord realm demon roared. Ignoring his own defense, he continued to attack Lu Ming. In the blink of an eye, another dozen or so attacks landed on the second-class Heavenly Soldier's armor. With a bang, the second-class Heavenly Soldier's armor finally ran out of energy, and the light shield exploded. But at the same time, Lu Ming's attack also landed on the demon's body. Although this demon was a demon overlord realm demon, his body was incomparably hard and his defense was astonishing, but he could not completely block Lu Ming's attack. Wounds appeared on his body, and one of his wings was blown apart by the Ice Xian rod. The demon overlord realm demon spat out a few more mouthfuls of blood. However, his eyes were incomparably ferocious as he roared, "Die!" A few bright red bone spurs on his body actually left his body and pierced towards Lu Ming at an astonishing speed. He had been waiting for this opportunity to break through the defense of Lu Ming's armor and kill Lu Ming in one fell swoop. Chapter 4064. The Demon Emperor Realm Demon fought with all his might. The bright red bone spurs on his body flew out from his body and shot towards Lu Ming. This time, the distance was too close, coupled with the fact that the bone spurs were extremely fast. Even if Lu Ming wanted to dodge, he wouldn't be able to. In fact, Lu Ming had no intention of dodging at all. Puff, 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 a few bone spurs hit Lu Ming and pierced through Lu Ming's body. Some pierced through his chest, some pierced through Lu Ming's dantian, and some pierced through his shoulders. A total of 5 bone spurs pierced through Lu Ming's body, creating 5 holes. Lu Ming's body was pushed back by the bone spurs, nailing him to a huge rock. Ha ha ha, go to hell, go to hell! The Demon Emperor Realm Demon roared crazily, but in the next moment his eyes popped out, revealing a look of disbelief. This was because Lu Ming was completely fine, and his aura had not weakened at all. Boom! Lu Ming's body burst out with a powerful force, sending the 5 bone spurs flying. The wounds on Lu Ming's body quickly healed. At this time, Ling Yue seized the opportunity to shoot an arrow with all her might while the Demon Emperor Realm Demon was in a daze. An arrow pierced through the Demon Emperor Realm Demon's throat, causing his injuries to worsen. A bunch of little monsters, let's go! The Demon Emperor Realm Demon really panicked and turned around to leave. Unfortunately, his surroundings were filled with strong winds. He was even weaker now, and for a moment he was actually unable to break through the strong winds and escape. As for Lu Ming, he held the ice xian rod in his hand and charged forward again. He struck out with all his might, causing the Demon Emperor Realm Demon to stagger back. Dandan, are you almost done? Lu Ming sent a sound transmission to Dandan. This Demon Emperor Realm Demon was really hard to kill. He had continuously used his full strength to activate the ice xian rod, which consumed a lot of energy. It was difficult for him to maintain his strength. He believed that Ling Yue was about the same. If this were to continue, the demon might really escape. All right, use your full strength to kill this demon. Fortunately, Dandan gave him some good news. Dandan rapidly formed hand seals, and countless runes appeared on the ground and in the air. These runes intertwined to form a huge formation. The formation shone brightly, and Buddhist chants could be heard. In the next moment, 8 gigantic figures appeared in all directions. These 8 figures emitted a golden Buddhist light, as though they were the Vajras of the Buddhist sections. Dandan had actually set up a Buddhist grand array. The 8 Vajras attacked with all their might, launching a fierce attack at the Demon Emperor Realm Demon. At the same time, Lu Ming and Ling Yue also attacked with all their might. Lu Ming held the Zephyr Pearl in one hand and used all of his strength to draw out the energy within the Zephyr Pearl, turning it into a wind blade that slashed towards his opponent. His other hand held the mysterious ice staff, and in an instant he poured all of his taboo energy into the mysterious ice staff. The mysterious ice staff grew rapidly, and he swung it at his opponent. Ling Yue also shot an arrow with all her might. The attacks of the 3 people drowned out the Demon Emperor Realm Abyssal together. The pupils of the Demon Emperor Realm Abyssal contracted sharply, because he felt a fatal crisis in this move. Roar! He let out a roar, unwilling to be killed by a few little fellows like this, and fought back with all his might. Boom! 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 A series of explosions rang out, and then a tall figure flew out like a meteorite, smashing into the mountains at the bottom of the lake. The lake water surged, and smoke and dust filled the air. The figure that flew out was naturally that abyssal demon. Lu Ming and the other 2 flashed their figures and followed closely behind. When they flew over 10,000 miles, they found that the Demon Emperor Realm Abyssal Demon was already lying on the ground, his entire body in tatters. His aura was extremely weak, and he was already on the verge of death. They widened their eyes with all their might, staring at Lu Ming and the other 2, their eyes revealing deep unwillingness. It seemed that he did not expect that a demon emperor of his generation would eventually die in the hands of 3 divine Emperor Realm Juniors. If this were to spread out, he would be laughed at after his death. Let's go, Lu Ming said coldly and stepped down. A demon's sword appeared under his feet, and he used the great demon sword technique. Puchi! The demon sword completely killed the Demon Emperor Realm Abyssal Demon. Who? The 3 of them heaved a sigh of relief at the same time. The 3 of them were indeed incomparably strong, and with the help of their great weapons, they could kill 9th-layer divine emperors like cutting melons and vegetables. However, compared to divine emperors, there was still a big gap. Even in the entire primitive universe, an emperor god would be considered a top expert. Many powerful forces in the universe, or some of the more powerful races, did not have any divine emperors. Only the powerful races on the list of 10,000 races of primitive universe had divine emperors. That level was much stronger than divine emperors. Fortunately, the Demon Emperor Realm Abyssal Demon had been severely injured by the experts of the Buddhist clan, and his strength was greatly weakened. Otherwise, even if the 3 of them joined forces, they would definitely not be a match for the Demon Emperor. If they encountered the Demon Emperor, there would only be a road to death, and they would not be able to escape. Then, The three of them took the demon emperor realm abyssal demons, spirit blood, and quickly left. After finding a place, the three of them adjusted their breathing, and when they recovered to their peak state, the three of them went in the direction of Nantion City. Not long after, they successfully returned to Nantion City. After returning to Nantion City, Lu Ming went to report to a divine general what had happened at Constellation Demon Island. Naturally, he would not say that his team members were killed by the spirits of Nether Race. One should know that although the spirits of Nether Race had killed his team members, he had also killed 3 experts of the spirits of Nether Race, and one of them was a peerless genius of the spirits of Nether Race. Although they had taken action in self-defense, and the Heavenly Palace would not blame them, if the spirits of Nether Race knew that they had killed a peerless genius of the spirits of Nether Race, they would most likely not let them go. In the future, they would have to constantly face the assassins of the spirits of Nether Race, and that would be even more troublesome. Lu Ming naturally would not say that. He only said that their formation had been destroyed by the abyssal demon experts, and that the others had died in battle, leaving only the 3 of them. The divine general did not have the slightest suspicion. After all, such things were very common in a battle with the abyssal demons. The divine general comforted Lu Ming and said, "Captain Muyin, do you need me to replenish your troops?" His team had been scattered, and he could continue to replenish his troops, reform a battle formation, and guard a side of the city wall. However, there was another choice, and that was to choose not to be the captain, and to act alone and hunt the abyssal demons alone. This was usually the choice given to the survivors after a team had been destroyed. However, most people would still choose to form a team. After all, if they formed a team, they could form a battle formation, and their power was amazing. When fighting with the abyssal demons, their chances would be much higher, and they could also hunt enough abyssal demon spirit blood. Acting alone was not only more dangerous, but the efficiency of hunting the abyssal demons would also be much lower. Of course, there were also some people who would choose to act alone. Those people were generally very confident in their own strength. Lu Ming chose to act alone. Chapter 4065. Lu Ming naturally chose to act alone. He had been betrayed once, and he didn't want to be betrayed a second time. If they formed another team, it would be hard to guarantee that they wouldn't be betrayed again. He planned to act alone with Dandan and Ling Yuwei to hunt demons in the future. Even if the efficiency was a bit lower, it would still be safe and at ease, right? After telling him this idea, the divine general happily agreed. After returning to his residence, he met up with Dandan and Ling Yuwei. Then they moved away from here and stayed on another section of the city wall. After that, the 3 of them took out the demon spirit blood they had hunted this time and counted them together. The harvest this time was huge. Most of the demon spirit blood came from demons above the 7th layer of the God Emperor realm. They would definitely be exchanged for a lot of merit points. However, they didn't go to the Well of Merit, so they didn't know how many merit points they could exchange for. Right now, they were still unable to return to Dream Sky City to exchange for merit points. They needed to stay in Nantion City and guard it for 100 years. After the 3 of them counted the demon spirit blood, they divided it equally. For the next half a month, they cultivated in Nantion City. It was very peaceful, and no one came to find trouble with them. Thinking about it, that group of angels were all dead, and no one knew that they were the ones who did it. Although there were many angels in the heavenly soldiers, far more than those 15 people. But relatively speaking, the ones who were most hostile to them were those in that group, such as Lafitte and the others. Once these people died, they should have a period of peace. Half a month later, the 3 of them set off again. They left Nantion City and headed to another level 3 area to hunt demons. In the following time, Lu Ming and the others acted in groups of 3, secretly hunting demons. The 3 of them worked together, with Lu Ming and Ling Yuwei as the main attacker and Dandan in the formation. In fact, the efficiency wasn't too bad. Although the speed at which they hunted demons couldn't compare to those teams, it wasn't too far off. The key was that the demon spirit blood they hunted was only divided among the three of them. Not only was the demon spirit blood in their hands not less, but it was even more. Time passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, more than 90 years had passed. There were only a few years left until the 100-year period. As long as 100 years passed, they would be able to return to Dream Sky City and convert the evil demon spirit blood they had accumulated into merit points, which they could then exchange for various treasures or enter the fortune tower to increase their strength. What was worth mentioning was that in the past 90 years, their strength had all increased. Lu Ming had a special body. After so many battles, he had broken through to the 4th godly emperor layer. Dandin used to have the strength of the 2nd godly emperor layer, but after 90 years he had broken through to the 3rd godly emperor layer. Ling Yuwei's cultivation had also broken through to the 5th godly emperor layer. Ever since she had obtained the fortune of the sacred seed mother tree, her physique had undergone a transformation. Her cultivation speed was astonishing, and she was actually not slower than Lu Ming. What was worth mentioning was that Qiu had also broken through to the 7th godly emperor layer. He had broken through to the 5th godly emperor layer consecutively. During this time, he had devoured a large number of godly weapons. In particular, Lu Ming had obtained some broken godly weapons from the Merit Exchange Hall, which had been of great help to Qiu. Overall, the strength of the three of them had skyrocketed, and they could hunt abyss devils more easily. On this day, they were hunting demon spirits in a level 3 area when they suddenly received news from Nantian City. Everyone was retreating back to Nantian City. Lu Ming and the others were puzzled. They didn't know why everyone was retreating, but under such circumstances, something big must have happened. They didn't dare stay and hastily returned to Nantian City. When they returned to Nantian City, they saw a large number of celestial soldiers returning from all directions. They were all celestial soldiers who had hunted demon spirits from different areas. After so many years of hunting, the low-level areas around Nantian City, such as the level 2, level 3, and even level 4 areas, have been cleared. Further in was the terrifying level 5 area. The level 5 area was occupied by terrifying demon empires. These demon empires had terrifying demon spirits overseeing them. They were comparable to the Lord of Heaven of the Heavenly Palace. Celestial soldiers and celestial generals generally didn't dare to enter the level 5 area. Nantian City opened a formation. Countless celestial soldiers and celestial generals flew into the formation and landed on the city wall. Lu Ming and the others followed the crowd into Nantian City and landed on a section of the city wall. What happened? Why did everyone suddenly retreat? Yeah, we'll be able to conquer that level 3 area very soon. The demon emperors in that level 3 area have all been killed. Unfortunately, they retreated at the last moment. There was a lot of discussion in the surroundings. Many people were puzzled. Silence. At that moment, a dignified voice rang out and spread through the entire city wall. The scene immediately quieted down. Suddenly, many figures appeared in the sky. These figures had extremely strong auras as deep as the sea. They were extremely terrifying. Celestial emperors. They were all in the celestial emperor realm. There were celestial generals in armor and celestial officials in white robes. There were no less than 100 of them, and they were all high-level celestial emperors. Everyone's heart sank, and many people revealed solemn expressions. It was definitely unusual for hundreds of celestial generals and celestial officials to be mobilized at once. According to reliable news, a huge demon army has appeared in the depths of the dark universe and is heading toward Nantian City. It should be the demons of the level 5 area, a burly celestial general said. This celestial general looked very valiant and handsome. His long golden hair draped over his shoulders, and his aura was very terrifying. Obviously, this celestial general's identity was extraordinary. Even among the hundreds of celestial generals, he was one of the best. Celestial tribe. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed slightly as a thought flashed through his mind. That's right, he was definitely not mistaken. This celestial general was from the celestial tribe. Back then, when he first met the myriad gods, he was chased by some terrifying existences. Those existences were evolved from the celestial tribe's powerhouses after their deaths. They were not the real celestial tribe. The real core of the heavenly palace was the celestial tribe. It could be said that the celestial tribe had founded the heavenly palace. The celestial tribe was not one of the top 10 tribes because they were high and mighty and looked down on all the other tribes. No other tribe could be compared to them. However, it was said that the celestial tribe was very few in number, but each one of them was very powerful. Any one of them would be a top prodigy in the primitive universe. Lu Ming had been in the heavenly palace for so many years, but this was the first time he had seen the real celestial tribe. Demon army. The demons of the level 5 area. Is there a demon wave? Many people exclaimed. Every time the demon army of the level 5 area attacked Nantian City, it was very terrifying. It was called a demon wave. Chapter 4066. Every time a demonic wave broke out, a world-shaking battle was destined to break out, and the fighting was incomparably tragic. Yes, it's a demonic wave, and this time it's no small matter. It's very likely that more than one 5th level district has been mobilized. So, immediately set up defenses and check all the arrays to ensure that nothing goes wrong. The heavenly human tribes, divine generals said loudly. Many people were shocked. There was more than one 5th level district demon taking action. The situation was worse than they had imagined. Then, everyone began to take action. Those who were assigned to guard the section of the city wall immediately returned to guard their own section of the city wall. Lu Ming and the other two, because they were acting alone, were randomly assigned to a section of the city wall to hunt as many demons as possible. The heavenly soldiers were very fast. In a short while they had set up the defenses, and then one by one, they stared into the distance, waiting for the demons to appear. Time passed by, second by second. Buzz! Suddenly, the earth and the sky in front seemed to tremble. Then there was a terrifying aura coming from afar. The aura suddenly became extremely oppressive, as if there was a terrifying giant beast in the distance coming this way. Everyone's heart was in their mouths. Boom! Boom, boom! Then there was a violent roar, and the sky in front of them became pitch black. That was the demonic aura. The demonic aura rushed toward Nantian City like a tide. In the demonic aura, there were countless demons. Countless demons covered the sky and the sun, holding all kinds of weapons, roaring like thunder, and killing intent like a tidal wave. There were too many, so many that it was impossible to count. As far as the eye could see, it was a boundless demon army, and no one knew how many there were. And some of the demons' auras were extremely terrifying. These were all demons in the Demon Emperor realm. At a casual glance, one could see hundreds of demons in the Demon Emperor realm. Why are there so many demons? How many 5th level district demons have been mobilized? Many people's faces changed drastically. So many demons in the Demon Emperor realm had appeared. It was definitely not 1 or 2 5th level district demon dynasties that could mobilize. It was definitely multiple demon dynasties that had mobilized together. Get ready. In the sky, the heavenly human tribes' divine general shouted. Set up the array, get ready to attack. On the city wall, many first-class heavenly soldiers shouted. In the heavenly palace, there were more than 100 emperor gods. More than 100 god emperors appeared in the sky. They were all god generals and heavenly officials. Those who could reach the level of divine general or heavenly official were all experts among experts. Even among the god emperors, they were considered experts. Most of those first-rate heavenly soldiers were also divine lords. There were just a few weaker divine lords but their numbers were not small. Rumble. Heaven and earth rumbled, and the sun and moon lost their light. The Fiend Legion was getting closer and closer to Nantion City. Kill. Kill all the creatures in the primitive universe. Destroy the heavenly palace. Exterminate the heavenly human tribe. Kill all these losers and fugitives. Roars came from the devil army as countless devils roared and charged towards Nantion City. He was getting closer. The distance between the two sides was getting closer and closer. Soon, the distance between the two sides was only a few thousand miles. At this time, the demons launched an attack. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Countless attacks, densely packed, covered the sky and blasted toward Nantion City. Formation rise. In Nantion City, the divine general of the heavenly human tribe gave the order. The city walls of Nantion City glowed, and a light shield appeared. The attacks of these devils were all on the light shield. The light shield kept shaking, but it was blocked by the light shield. Killing formation, rise. The divine general of the heavenly human tribe gave the order again. On each section of the city walls, runes filled the air and multicolored light continued to shine. Another formation appeared. This time it was a killing formation. The killing formation condensed all kinds of divine light and shot toward the devil army like arrows. However, the devil army also set up a formation. Layers of demonic aura condensed into a light shield, blocking these attacks. The first wave of attacks from both sides did not cause any damage. The distance between the two sides was getting closer. Boom! In the end, the devil army crashed heavily into the light shield outside Nantion City. At this moment, the entire city felt like it was shaking. Focus on one point and tear this formation apart. Attack! On the devil army's side, the attacks of all the devils gathered in groups. Many of the devils' attacks were focused on one point, trying to tear the formation apart and kill their way into Nantion City. Among them, many Demon Emperor Realm devils also attacked with terrifying power. The light shield of the formation trembled even more violently. If this continued, it was inevitable that it would be torn apart. Attack! Kill the devils! The heavenly soldiers on the city walls also roared and launched an attack. Most of the heavenly soldiers formed a battle formation, condensing dazzling golden sword light, slashing outside and slashing at the devils. Lu Ming and the others did not attack. Now that both sides were attacking with formations, the power was too strong. With their cultivation, even if they attacked, it would not have much effect. Boom! 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 Terrifying rumbles continued to sound as if the world was about to be destroyed. There were too many experts fighting fiercely. If it happened in the primitive universe or in the starry sky, it would cause a devastating disaster. A large area of the starry sky would be annihilated under such an attack. However, the dark universe was very special. Everything was much more stable than the primitive universe. The damage caused would not be as great as the primitive universe. However, the ground was constantly exploding, and the void turned into chaos. The scene was terrifying. Finally, after fighting for a while, the formation in the eastern area of Nantion City was torn open by the devils. Charge in! The Abyss demons let out excited roars, and countless Abyss demons madly rushed in through the opening and killed their way onto the city walls. Kill! The heavenly soldiers on the city wall roared and attacked with the battle formation. Golden sword light flashed and slashed out horizontally. Suddenly, a large number of devils were killed. However, there were too many devils and they kept rushing in. The devils could not compare with the heavenly palace in terms of rune formations. After charging in like this, the devils' formations were not so exquisite. Most of them were fighting for themselves. Unless they had set up a large formation in their own territory, the devils could rely on the formation to exert great power. On the heavenly soldiers' side, relying on the heavenly armor, they could activate the power of the battle formation at any time. However, There were too many devils, and they were not afraid of death. They kept rushing in, and there were even demon emperor realm devils mixed in. Die. A demon emperor realm demon rushed into the crack and slashed out with a saber, blowing up a large formation. More than half of the heavenly soldiers inside were blown up alive. Tragic, both sides began to suffer casualties. You're courting death. A first-class heavenly soldier, his body glowing, waved his sword and attacked the demon emperor realm devil. The two sides engaged in a fierce battle. Chapter 4067. Both sides fought fiercely, and casualties began to appear. Moreover, with the fierce attacks of the demons, many parts of the Nantion city's array formation were torn apart. Countless demons rushed in through these cracks and engaged in a great battle with the heavenly soldiers and generals. Buzz! The array formation on Lu Ming's side also fluctuated violently. Under the attacks of countless demons, the array formation trembled incessantly. Finally, a crack appeared. Kill! A large group of demons roared and rushed in through the crack, pouncing towards the heavenly soldiers and generals. The heavenly soldiers on the city wall immediately launched a counterattack, setting up a formation to kill the enemy. Both sides fought fiercely. There were also demons that charged towards Lu Ming and the others. Dandan took a step forward, and dense runes appeared on the ground. A large array was formed and turned into chains that wrapped around a dozen demons. Then Lu Ming took out the Zephyr Pearl. A strong wind whistled and swept past, killing more than a dozen demons on the spot. In such a great battle, Lu Ming did not plan to take out the mysterious ice rod. It was too exhausting and would not be used for long. It was far less practical than the Zephyr Pearl. Although Ling Yue took out the Elf King bow that was stained with blood, she did not use all of her strength to control it. She only activated the power of the 9th layer of the Divine Emperor Realm. This way she could use many moves. The three of them worked together seamlessly and quickly killed dozens of demons. The results of the battle were quite good and attracted the attention of the other demons. The geniuses of the desolate universe are mine. A blood-red demon with burning eyes pounced towards Lu Ming and the other two. This was a flame demon. This kind of demon was a special kind of demon. It was very powerful. Before it even pounced, a scorching aura had already pounced towards Lu Ming and the other two. Hu the Zephyr Pearl turned into a wind blade and slashed towards the demon. With a boom, it collided with the demon, causing an earth-shattering explosion. However, Lu Ming did not kill the demon. The wind blade, formed by the strong wind, was blocked. What strength! Lu Ming's eyes flickered. That fire demon had the strength of the 9th godly emperor layer, but he was extremely strong. He was much stronger than ordinary cultivators of the 9th godly emperor layer. Lu Ming's cultivation had already reached the 4th godly emperor realm. His cultivation level had increased, which meant that he could draw out more energy from the Gale Pearl. However, the demon had managed to block it. That showed how powerful it was. Brat, it's useless to rely on external objects. Die! The flaming demon roared. Its body was shrouded in flames, and its claws were constantly clawing out. Its body was like lightning as it pounced towards Lu Ming. Whoosh! Ling Yue made her move, and an arrow shot towards the demon. Although Ling Yue did not use her full strength to activate the Elf King bow that was covered in blood, she had still activated a portion of its power. It was not weaker than the gale wind blade from before. The flaming demon did not dare to underestimate it. It reached out with its claws and blocked the arrow as well. After blocking it, its pair of demon wings continuously slashed towards Lu Ming. It was blocked by Lu Ming's Zephyr Pearl. However, the demon looked ferocious and took the opportunity to get close to Lu Ming. Its demon claws grabbed towards Lu Ming's head. However, an arrow shot towards it. This arrow was even more terrifying. Ling Yue attacked with all her strength. The flaming demon's expression changed. At the critical moment, it used its demon wings to slash at Ling Yuwei's arrow. With a boom, a hole appeared in its demon wings. It was injured and retreated. Ling Yuwei attacked with all her strength, and her attack power was still above that of the demon. While the demon was injured, Lu Ming took the opportunity to attack. A strong wind swept out and turned into a wind blade, slashing horizontally. With a pu sound, a demon's head flew high into the air. This demon genius was dead. The moment he killed the demon, Lu Ming grabbed the demon's demon spirit blood with his palm. The performance of Lu Ming and the other two immediately attracted the attention of the demon emperors on the demon side. "You're courting death." A demon emperor realm powerhouse stretched out his hand and grabbed at the air. 3 claw lights shot out and grabbed towards Lu Ming and the other two. This was a demon emperor realm demon at its peak. Its strength was unfathomable, and its attack was incomparably terrifying. Lu Ming and the other two felt their hearts beat faster and their hair stand on end. Unstoppable, facing a demon emperor at its peak. Even if they attacked with all their might, they wouldn't be able to resist, especially Ling Yuwei and Dandan. They only had 3rd-tier heavenly soldier armor, so they couldn't withstand the demon emperor's attack. However, they were already prepared. On the ground, dense runes suddenly crawled out and covered the bodies of the 3 people. Then, the bodies of the 3 people became blurry. When the demon emperor realm abyssal attacked, the 3 of them directly disappeared from their original place and appeared dozens of miles away. The demon emperor realm abyssal's attack naturally missed. Formation. The demon emperor realm demon's eyes flickered with a cold light. Yes, formation. Before the demon army arrived, Dandan had already secretly set up a formation. Of course, they were all formations used to escape. In such a great battle, setting up a killing array was useless. How many demons could you kill? Among the demons, there were many experts. If you killed the strong, there would be even stronger ones. For example, after they killed the flame demon Heaven's Pride, a demon emperor realm demon would immediately come. Therefore, setting up an escape formation to save one's life was the way to go. Let's see how many moves you can dodge. Kill. That demon emperor realm demon seemed to have his eyes on Lu Ming and the other two. With a wave of his demon claws, more and more claw prints formed, covering the sky and covering the earth as they charged towards Lu Ming and the other two. Wherever it passed, the battle formation set up by one of the teams was directly destroyed. "Blink 1,000 shadows array, rise," Dandan shouted, controlling the array with all his might. Dandan, Lu Ming, and Ling Yuwei's bodies exploded with a bang. Each of them turned into hundreds of figures, scurrying everywhere. Bang, bung, as the claw shadows fell, the shadows collapsed. When all the claw shadows disappeared, the true bodies of Lu Ming and the other two were revealed. However, their faces were pale. Although they had dodged the other party's attack, just now it was dangerous and not easy. Wanting to escape with his life in front of a devil emperor at his peak was not easy. We dodged it again. The killing intent in the eyes of that demon emperor realm demon was extremely strong. After escaping from his hands twice in a row, his anger burned fiercely. "I will tear you all apart and bring you back to become my exquisite food." The demon emperor realm demon roared. With a flap of his wings, he personally pounced towards Lu Ming and the others. At this moment, swoosh! A spear pierced through the void and pierced towards the demon emperor realm demon. Its power was extremely terrifying. Chapter 4068. The spear pierced through the air, destroying the void. The demon emperor's pupils constricted. He could not care less about killing Lu Ming and the other two. He quickly waved his demon claws to block the attack. Clang! An earth-shattering roar resounded. The spear was blocked, but the demon emperor realm demon was also blasted back again and again. A burly man in golden armor stepped on the air. His aura was like a mountain, and his eyes were like lightning. He was a first-class celestial soldier and also a divine emperor. A dignified demon emperor. What's the point of attacking a few little guys? I'll be your opponent. A cold voice came from the first-class celestial soldier. His figure was like a flash of lightning, instantly approaching the demon emperor. The spear pierced through the void, stabbing at the demon emperor. Don't think that I'm afraid of you. I'll kill you too. The demon emperor realm demon roared and fought with a first-rate heavenly soldier. Lu Ming and the other two heaved a sigh of relief. Although their current battle strength was very strong, and after activating their weapons, killing ordinary ninth-layer divine emperors was as easy as chopping vegetables. However, facing a demon emperor, they were still under a lot of pressure. It was a huge leap from divine emperor to divine emperor. In the divine emperor realm, the star nucleus in the Dantian turned into a star. However, no matter how strong a star was, there was a limit. Its energy would be exhausted. In the divine emperor realm, the star in the body evolved into a black hole. A black hole led to an eternal, unknown place. One could borrow endless energy from the other side of the black hole. In theory, the energy of the divine emperor realm was almost endless. Even if the battle lasted for thousands of years, it would not be exhausted. Of course, this was only in theory. Therefore, stepping into the divine emperor realm was like stepping into the ranks of the top experts in the primitive universe. As for the divine emperor realm, it was only considered ordinary in the primitive universe. However, the three of them quickly calmed down and attacked the other demons. They were confident that with their talent, it was only a matter of time before they stepped into the divine emperor realm. It was not impossible for them to step into a higher realm. This battle lasted for a full 2 hours. During this period, Lu Ming and the rest were also attacked by other demon emperor realm demons. They were all pushed back by them in a dangerous situation. At the same time, there were many divine emperors in the heavenly palace who would fight against the demon emperors. This battle was exceptionally tragic, and the smell of blood filled the air. Both sides had lost a large number of people. However, the heavenly palace's side had the terrain advantage. With the protection of the formation, the number of casualties was much lower than the demon's side. The demon's losses were at least 3 times that of the heavenly palaces. Dong, dong, dong. After 2 hours of fighting, the deafening sound of war drums could be heard from the distant land. Retreat! A loud roar came from the abyss devils. Then the demons quickly retreated, and the retreating demons took the corpses of the demons with them. The black mass of evil demons quickly retreated and disappeared from sight in the blink of an eye. On the city walls of Nantian City, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. In the face of such a great battle, no one had the confidence to survive. The main reason was that there were too many evil demons and there were too many experts. Even though the Heavenly Palace's side had set up a battle formation, the losses were great and the battle formations were destroyed one by one. What a pity! There's so many evil demon corpses. How much evil demon spirit blood are there? Someone sighed. In the battle just now, countless evil demons had fallen, and no one knew how much evil demon spirit blood there was. However, in the process of the battle just now, who would have the mind to collect evil demon spirit blood? Who would dare to be distracted? In such a great battle, being distracted meant death. Later, when the evil demons retreated, they took away most of the evil demon corpses, which made people feel helpless. Dandan, how's the harvest? In an inconspicuous section of the city wall, there were 3 people who were talking about their harvest. These 3 people were naturally Lu Ming and the other 2. In the previous battle, Dandan almost did not do anything except use the formation to help them escape. This was because he was collecting evil demon spirit blood. With his attainments in rune formations, it could be said that he was like a ghost constantly collecting evil demon spirit blood in the dark. Not only did he collect the evil demons killed by Lu Ming and Ling Yue, but he also collected the evil demons killed by the others nearby. Ha ha ha, a great harvest, a great harvest. It's even greater than our previous 90 years combined. Dandan laughed out loud. Of course, it was a sound transmission. He didn't dare to be brazen, afraid that others would hear him and beat him to death. So much. Lu Ming and Ling Yue's eyes lit up. It was even greater than the previous 3 people's gains in the past 90 years. As expected, only in such a tragic battle could one make a fortune. Although the battle just now was dangerous, it was worth it. Hee, I even obtained a drop of the Demon Emperor Realm's evil demon spirit blood. Dandan had a complacent look on his face. Attention, all divine generals and first-rate heavenly soldiers. Gather your subordinates and set up a new formation. The crippled teams regroup and form a complete team. In the sky, the heavenly human race's divine general gave the order. Immediately, divine generals and first-rate heavenly soldiers moved out, gathering the people from the various sections of the city wall and redistributing them. This was because some of the teams had been crippled and couldn't set up a formation. They had to replenish their manpower. This time, Lu Ming and the other 2 didn't even believe that they could act alone and were forcefully transferred into a team. Although it was a temporary team that hadn't been trained and couldn't unleash the full power of the battle formation, it was still better than acting alone. Lu Ming and the other 2 could only sigh. They still wanted to secretly collect the evil demon spirit blood in the following battles. Now, it seemed that this plan wouldn't work. In the battle formation, Dandan couldn't appear and disappear unpredictably to collect the evil demon spirit blood. Although it was a pity, there was nothing they could do. The heavenly palace was very efficient. Not long after, the team was reorganized. I've received news that the evil demon army hasn't retreated. Instead, they've set up camp hundreds of millions of miles away. It seems that they will continue to attack. Everyone, stay alert and prepare for battle. We've just formed a new team. Step up the training and familiarize yourself with the battle formation. In the sky, the heavenly human race's divine generals' voice resounded in all directions. Many people's expressions were ugly. The evil demons hadn't retreated yet. It seemed that the previous retreat was only a temporary one. They would come back again. The tragic battle wasn't over yet. Lu Ming and the others, who had just formed a new battle formation, began to practice and familiarize themselves with the battle formation. They didn't have to wait too long. After only 1 day, the evil demon army came again. The 2 sides engaged in a fierce battle again. This battle lasted for a full 2 hours before the evil demons retreated. However, these evil demons didn't retreat to their nest. Instead, they set up camp hundreds of millions of miles away from Nantian City. This made many people's expressions ugly. At the same time, they were very puzzled. In the past, the evil demons would gather together and attack Nantian City. However, if they couldn't take it, they would retreat and return to their nest. This time, however, they couldn't take it and didn't retreat. Chapter 4069. In the next few days, the evil demon army attacked Nantian City 5 times. After 5 times, the evil demon army still did not retreat. They were stationed hundreds of millions of miles away, but they did not attack again. Since the evil demons did not attack, the heavenly palace naturally did not take the initiative to attack. The stalemate lasted for more than 10 days. During these 10 days, the evil demon army did not attack again. This made many people's hearts heavy. They did not know what the evil demons were planning. Boom! Rumble! On the 11th day, a terrifying roar suddenly came from the direction of the evil demon army's garrison. It was as if the world was about to be destroyed. Then a terrifying and incomparably oppressive aura surged over like a vast wave. Everyone's expression changed drastically, including the God Emperor's. Their eyes were filled with fear as if they were ants facing an ancient giant beast. "Look, what is that?" Suddenly, someone exclaimed and pointed at the distant sky. In fact, everyone saw it without him shouting. In the distant sky, the void was like water ripples, constantly shaking. Occasionally, a spatial crack would appear. Through the spatial crack, they saw a figure inside. This figure was incomparably huge. He was wearing battle armor, and his golden hair was fluttering. A terrifying aura surged out like a tide. His body was even bigger than a star. "Lord of Heaven, it's the Lord of Heaven!" In the sky, the divine general of the heavenly human tribe shouted excitedly. Everyone's hearts were also greatly shaken. The Lord of Heaven was not a realm. It was a title in the heavenly palace, and it was also a position. However, anyone who held the position of Lord of Heaven must be someone above the God-Emperor realm. Above the God-Emperor realm was the Divine Master. The Lord of Heaven must be someone in the Divine Master realm, and he must be from the heavenly human tribe. Even if other tribes worked in the heavenly palace and reached the Divine Master realm, they could not hold the position of Lord of Heaven. No one had expected that the Lord of Heaven of the heavenly palace would make a move. Roar! In the next moment, a terrifying roar was heard from the spatial crack. Everyone saw a huge demon appear. Its body was huge, and it charged towards the Lord of Heaven. The two sides exchanged a blow, and the void turned into chaos. The figures of the Lord of Heaven and the demon also disappeared. A demon lord realm abyssal. Many people gasped in shock. That abyssal that flashed by just now was definitely a demon master realm abyssal. Demon masters were on the same level as divine masters. A great battle actually broke out between the Lord of Heaven and the demon master. Boom! Boom! Explosions kept coming from the sky. The terrifying pressure made it hard for everyone to breathe. Fortunately, the void was far enough away from here. Moreover, the battle between the Lord of Heaven and the demon lord took place within the void crack and did not affect Nantion City. Otherwise, the consequences would be unpredictable. No one thought that Nantion City's array could withstand the attacks of divine masters or demon masters. Suddenly, a violent fluctuation appeared in the void, and a spatial crack appeared. This time, the hearts of the crowd shuddered once again, because through the spatial crack, everyone saw another incomparably huge figure. However, this figure was not the Lord of Heaven or the abyssal that they saw just now. It was an angel, a 12-winged angel with 6 pairs of wings spread out. Holy light illuminated the sky, and its aura was terrifying. Needless to say, this was also a divine Lord-level figure, and this divine Lord-level angel was also fighting with a demon Lord-level abyssal. There was actually more than one divine master expert that had been dispatched. What was going on? Divine masters rarely made a move, but now 2 of them had suddenly appeared. But soon, everyone knew that they were wrong. More than 2 divine masters had been mobilized. This was because the void would flicker from time to time. Through the spatial crack, they saw no less than 5 divine masters. Yes, there were at least 5 divine masters. Among them, 2 were the Lord of Heaven, and the other 3 were peerless powerhouses of other races. On the abyssal side, no less than 5 demon masters had also appeared. There was actually a chaotic battle between divine masters in the void. What was going on? Not only were the ordinary heavenly soldiers confused, but even the divine generals and heavenly officials were confused. What was it that caused so many masterclass existences to go to war? However, they could not interfere in such a battle. Even if a peak God Emperor went up, they would be instantly obliterated by the terrifying force. Not even a speck of dust would be left. Everyone waited in confusion for half an hour. Suddenly, the void calmed down as if nothing had happened. Clearly, the terrifying battle had ended. Everyone looked at each other, wondering what the outcome of the battle was. Everyone, stay where you are and stay alert, the heavenly human divine general roared. In a dark void, It was incomparably dark, and violent spatial turbulence was rampant. In this incomparably dark space, there were more than a dozen enormous figures facing each other. There were 6 people on each side. On one side were abyssals, 6 enormous abyssals, all of them demon masters. On the other side, there were 6 peerless masters from the heavenly palace. Among them, 3 were the Lord of Heaven, and the other 3 were from the top 10 races. Both of them were injured. It was clear that the battle earlier had been very intense. An invincible expert of the heavenly palace is buried in the great tomb of heaven and earth. Don't even think about touching it, you demons. A Lord of Heaven spoke. He looked very young and handsome. His long golden hair danced like golden flames. Ha ha ha, what a joke! There's also a peerless expert of my race in the great tomb of heaven and earth. In my opinion, the heavenly palace has no right to interfere. A cyan demon revealed a ferocious smile. The Lord of Heaven of the heavenly palace snorted coldly. The other party wasn't wrong, and they couldn't refute him. However, the great tomb of heaven and earth was too important to them. They had to seize it. However, they were also determined to get the devil. They didn't have the confidence to win. How about this? How about we make a bet? Another Lord of Heaven spoke at this time. This Lord of Heaven was also very handsome, but more feminine. His eyes seemed to contain infinite wisdom. Bet. How do you want to bet? A demon master asked. Even if we continue to fight, it'll be difficult to determine a victor. How about we have the younger generation fight on our behalf? Both of us will send out some young geniuses to fight. The winner will have the right to occupy the great tomb of heaven and earth, and the loser will give up the tomb. How about that? The more feminine Lord of Heaven said. Oh, that sounds interesting, but what are the conditions for the younger generation's geniuses? For example, they're limited to the divine emperor realm, or how old they can be. A demon master asked. Chapter 4070. Of course, it's limited to divine emperors. Divine emperors aren't too high or too low, and they have the most numbers. It'll be more intense when they fight. What do you think? The more feminine Lord of Heaven said. No, I don't think it's appropriate. I think we should limit the age. How about this? Let's have those under 50,000 years old fight. The demon lord said, under 50,000 years old. The feminine Lord of Heaven's expression darkened. He shook his head. I think it's better to have divine Emperor Juniors fight. He knew that there were several young 9th-level divine emperors in South Sky City who were extremely powerful. If they were allowed to fight, their chances of victory would be higher. However, the demons clearly disagreed. This was because, among the Abyss Devils participating in this expedition, they knew of a young prodigy with terrifying combat strength. Therefore, they insisted on setting the age to be under 50,000 years old. The two sides couldn't come to an agreement. How about this? We'll draw lots, and whichever side we draw will decide. What do you think? The more feminine Lord of Heaven said in the end. He had no other choice but to take this compromise. That's more like it. The 6 demon lords nodded. There was naturally no cheating involved in the drawing of lots for people like them. Everything was arranged appropriately. When the drawing of lots ended, the 6 divine lords of the heavenly palace didn't look too good. They'd failed in the drawing. The demons would decide on the conditions. Ha, then we'll do it our way. 3 days later, the youngsters under 50,000 years old will fight. Both sides will set up an environment and let them fight inside. Whichever side is completely wiped out or surrenders will lose and withdraw from the contest for the great tomb of heaven and earth. A demon lord laughed loudly. At this point, the heavenly palace's divine master had no choice but to agree. They all swore on their life essence that the loser would never participate in the contest for the great tomb of heaven and earth. Even if they were divine lords or demon lords, they would still be restricted by their life essence and wouldn't dare violate their oath. Unless they were old antiques who'd transcended the master-level, invincible existences. After the two sides finished discussing the details, their figures flashed and disappeared into the dark void. Nantion City. News quickly spread from Nantion City, shocking everyone. Everyone now knew why the master-level existences would engage in such an intense battle. It was because of the great tomb of heaven and earth. It was rumored that endless years ago, so long ago that the exact number of years was unknown. At that time, there was an invincible existence in the heavenly palace who fought against an existence of the same level as the abyss devils. In the end, both sides fell. When both sides were about to die, they were sealed in different places. That place was the great tomb of heaven and earth. The inheritances and treasures left behind by such existences were truly too shocking. Even if it was a master-level figure, they would be unable to resist the temptation and would be extremely moved, wanting to investigate to the end. The master-level characters of both sides fought a great battle, but the victor was still undecided. In the end, everything was decided on the younger generation. Both sides sent out the younger generation below 50,000 years old to fight. They entered a special place and began a life and death battle. When one side was completely annihilated, or when 80% of the people on one side admitted defeat, that side would be considered to have lost. The other side would win. Hearing this news, the faces of all those under 50,000 years old changed. Needless to say, this battle would be exceptionally cruel. Only when one side was completely annihilated would it be considered a loss. In other words, this was a battle to the death. One side had to be completely annihilated. It was possible to admit defeat, but only if more than 80% of the remaining people on one side agreed. One person or several people were not allowed to admit defeat. If the heavenly palace was defeated, all those who participated in the battle would be in great danger. How could this not cause everyone's expressions to change drastically? Soon, everyone received the news and gathered at an empty section of the city wall. Soon, the heavenly soldiers gathered at an empty section of the city wall. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. A few figures suddenly appeared in the sky. These figures were divine generals and heavenly officials. Leading them was the divine general of the celestial race. The divine general of the celestial race swept his gaze over everyone like lightning. A moment later, a door of light flew out and towered between the heavens and the earth, becoming incomparably large. This is the door of light used to test one's age. Everyone passed through this door, starting from the left. The divine general of the celestial race said. Some people's expressions were somewhat ugly. They knew that this was a test of age. Anyone under 50,000 years old would probably have to fight. However, no one dared to disobey the order. Swish, 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 starting from the left, a large number of heavenly soldiers flew into the door of light. The door of light was extremely large and could accommodate at least a few thousand people. Most of the heavenly soldiers flew through the door of light, but a portion of them were blocked by a mysterious force. The divine general of the celestial race swept his gaze over those who were blocked and smiled. Very good. Those of you who did not pass through the door of light and are under 50,000 years old, stay. Those of you who passed through the door of light, go back and return to the area where you were originally stationed. Yes. Those who passed through the door of light were all over 50,000 years old and left one after another. Those who were under 50,000 years old stayed behind. Heavenly soldiers constantly flew forward, and people were constantly blocked by the door of light. Of course, those who were blocked were in the minority. Soon it was Lu Ming's turn. Lu Ming, Dandan, and Ling Yue flew towards the door of light. When Lu Ming approached the door of light, he was blocked by a force. This force was vast, mighty, and incomparably condensed. Lu Ming could not rush through it all, and he knew that it was impossible for him to do so. This was most likely the power of a divine master. He discovered that Ling Yue had also been blocked, but to his surprise, Dandan had passed through the door of light. Lu Ming thought about it and understood. That was because Dandan was over 50,000 years old. Back in the primordial realm, Dandan was born from an egg. He was not truly born, but only reborn from nirvana. He was seriously injured and turned into an egg. The most important thing was to heal his injuries. Although his body had been reborn, his soul was one of the 10 strongest war beasts in the primordial realm. He had lived for a long time and was definitely over 50,000 years old. Lu Ming, you guys have to be careful. I won't be able to accompany you. Dandan transmitted his voice to Lu Ming, his eyes filled with worry. Don't worry, don't you understand me? How could anything happen to me? It's those demons who are in trouble. Lu Ming replied with a smile. Those who pass through the door of light return to your respective city walls. Those who don't stay. The voice of the celestial race's divine general sounded again. Dandan could only follow the crowd and leave. Chapter 4071. Not long after, everyone was checked. In the end, about 3,000 people stayed. There were at least 1 million heavenly soldiers, but only 3,000 were left. That was not a high ratio. Most importantly, there were too few people who could reach the divine emperor realm and become heavenly soldiers under the age of 50,000. Those who could achieve that at that age were undoubtedly geniuses among geniuses. 3,000 of them stayed. I believe you already know the general situation, but I still need to tell you the details. This battle was decided by the Lord Heaven, and the Demon Lord. Both sides will send their prodigies under the age of 50,000 to enter a special place to fight. The conditions for victory are to kill all the opponents or make more than 80% of the opponents admit defeat. However, it's almost impossible to make more than 80% of the opponents admit defeat because everyone is scattered. It's very difficult to make more than 80% of the opponents admit defeat at the same time. Therefore, the only way to win is to kill all the opponents. The divine general of the heavenly human race said. Many people's expressions became even more unsightly. They could only win by killing all the opponents. It was the same for the demons. They could only win by killing all the opponents. Needless to say, it would be an extremely tragic battle. They would fight to the death. Divine General, I've been feeling a little unwell recently. Can I withdraw? Me too. I'm at the critical moment of my breakthrough. I'm afraid I can't perform perfectly. Many people spoke and wanted to withdraw. You want to withdraw? Sure, go talk to the Lord Heaven. The divine general of the heavenly human race said coldly. A cold light flashed in his eyes. Those who spoke had ugly expressions. What a joke! Go to the Lord Heaven. This was an order from the Lord Heaven. Going to the Lord Heaven was courting death. Moreover, with their status, would they be able to see the Lord Heaven? All right, I'll emphasize again. This is an order from the Lord Heaven. It must be carried out. The divine general of the heavenly human race said. What's there to be afraid of? Let's do it. This is exactly what I want. I'm looking forward to it. Ha ha ha. A coarse voice sounded. Many people glared at this person. Lu Ming also looked at this person, revealing a faint smile. The person who spoke was none other than the battle god of the Battle Saint tribe, Yuanwen. Battle god Yuanwen ignored the gazes around him. His eyes were full of fighting spirit. Beside him, the geniuses of the Battle Saint tribe all revealed an intense battle intent. The Battle Saint tribe was the most warlike tribe. Battle blood flowed in their bones. Sometimes they would even place battle before their lives. This kind of dangerous battle was what they wanted the most. They were all looking forward to it. These battle maniacs. Many people despised him in their hearts. Sir Divine General, may I know where the battle will take place? Are there any other rules? Another person asked. Right now, the Lord Heaven, and the Lord God are working with the demon lords to arrange the specific scenes. In 2 days, I will tell you the details. You can wait here for now. Those who are injured or not in peak condition, take advantage of the time now to recover. You only have 3 days. The divine general of the celestial tribe said. After speaking, he left this place. The 3,000 people who were going to participate in the battle either had heavy thoughts in their hearts, sat down cross-legged, or chatted in groups of 2 or 3. Very quickly, 2 days passed. In the sky a light flashed. The divine general of the celestial tribe reappeared. Many people immediately turned their gazes to this divine general. The specific scenes and rules are already out. Take a look. The divine general of the celestial tribe waved his hand, and an image appeared in the sky. In the image, there were 12 figures standing in the sky of a certain dark universe. These 12 figures were clearly divided into 2 camps. However, they were all shrouded in a hazy light, and their appearances couldn't be seen clearly. However, everyone knew that these 12 figures were the lords of the heavenly palace and the demon lords. Rumble! Suddenly, a lord-level figure from the celestial palace and the demons made a move. The 2 of them joined hands and clawed the ground, causing the ground to shake violently. Countless rocks rose up from the ground and condensed into a sphere in the air. This sphere was like a planet. Then the lords of both sides discussed for a while and set up the sphere. At this point, the image disappeared. The place where you're going to fight is this sphere that you see. This sphere was jointly created by the Lord Heaven, and the demon lord. It is extremely huge and is no smaller than a planet. Moreover, the lords of both sides have set up restrictions on it. Once you enter, you can't rely on external objects. You can't rely on any external objects. You can only rely on your own strength. The divine general of the celestial tribe said. What? The scene was in an uproar. In particular, some of the top monsters had ugly expressions. In the battlefield, all external objects couldn't be used. These top evildoers were all in possession of great killing weapons. Originally, the great killing weapons were their trump cards, which gave them a lot of confidence. But now, these killing weapons couldn't be used. Their combat strength would plummet. Lu Ming and Ling Yue were the same. Their expressions were somewhat ugly. However, those geniuses who didn't have great killing weapons heaved a sigh of relief in their hearts. The heavenly palace had top monsters who could control great killing weapons that far exceeded their own strength. How could the demons not have them? If they encountered such demons, they would be at a disadvantage. Now, although the people of the heavenly palace couldn't use it, the demons couldn't use it either. This was good news for them. The specific rules are about the same as before. It's still to kill the other party or make more than 80% of the other party admit defeat. Only then will it be considered a victory. In addition, a few variables have been added. The lords of both sides have added 2 lands of fortune, one for the demons and one for the heavenly palace. At the same time, the demons have set up some restrictions on the heavenly palace's land of fortune, and the heavenly palace has also set up some restrictions on the demons' side. When one side is at a disadvantage, as long as they find the corresponding land of fortune, they might be able to turn the tables. The heavenly human races, divine, General explained. Everyone nodded and silently thought in their hearts, digesting this clue. There was no doubt that this was an important clue. In the battleground between the 2 sides, the important figures of both sides had each set up a land of fortune. Obviously, they were all useful to their own side and could turn the tables at the critical moment. As long as they could find this land of fortune that was useful to their own side, their chances of surviving this battle would greatly increase. Chapter 4072. While everyone was thinking about the so-called land of creation, some of their expressions changed, because they remembered what the divine general had said. The master of the other side had set up a trap in the other side's land of creation. That was a trap set up by a master. Wouldn't they be dead if they went in? The divine general of the heavenly human tribe seemed to have seen through everyone's thoughts. He continued to explain, "Don't worry, the trap set up by the masters of both sides won't be too strong. The masters of both sides have already checked it. Although it's a challenge for you, it's not impossible. Otherwise, this land of creation would be meaningless. Also, the most important clue is how to find the land of creation of both sides. Actually, both sides have maps of their lands of creation. However, the maps have been sealed in a common place by the masters of both sides. After you enter, both sides will fight. When the number of casualties reaches a certain standard, the place where the map is sealed will appear." Everyone silently memorized these clues. This battle will probably be very cruel. Lu Ming sighed in his heart, especially the place where the map was sealed. It would only appear after a certain number of casualties on both sides. Moreover, when it appeared, there would definitely be a fierce battle between both sides. Because if one side didn't fight for it, the other side might get the map to the land of creation. They might even take away the other side's map. If the other side obtained the land of creation and turned the situation around, the other side would be in danger. This was a battle of life and death. One could only imagine how intense it would be. Also, take these demon-fixing pearls. Each of you will have one. The divine general of the heavenly human tribe waved his hand. Black origin, pearls the size of longans, flew out to Lu Ming and the others. There was one for each of them. Lu Ming reached out to take it. Among the demons, there are some top demons who can awaken the so-called primogenitor bloodline and take human form. The demonic chi in their bodies is hidden very deeply. With your cultivation, it's difficult to sense it. However, with these demon-fixing pearls, as long as they are within a certain distance of you, the demon-fixing pearls will react. The divine general of the heavenly human tribe said. These words reminded Lu Ming of 8 snake mountain ranges, demon, prince, Samoras. Samoras had taken human form, but even he hadn't been able to sense it. In the end, it had been Bone Devil who had sensed it. If there were many such demons among the demons, it would be very dangerous. However, the big shots of the heavenly palace were very thoughtful. Don't worry, even though we can't use external objects in here, the demon-fixing orb has no other use other than the demon-fixing orb's ability to sense the presence of demons. It can still be used. All right, I've said everything that needs to be said. Once the battle begins, everything will depend on you. There's still one day left. Come with us. After the celestial general finished speaking, he headed outside. A group of other celestial generals and heavenly officials followed him. Lu Ming and the 3,000 or so people followed. Soon they left Nantian City. Not long after, they saw a round ball floating in the air. This round ball was the one created by the masters of both sides. At that time, it didn't seem that big in the image. But now that they were closer, they realized that the round ball was really huge. It was completely condensed from rocks and was no smaller than a planet. Below the ground, they could see a huge pit that was incomparably deep. They didn't see the masters of both sides, but Lu Ming knew that the masters of both sides were definitely there. In fact, the masters of both sides were indeed there. They were just above them, watching them. It was just that they were very far away and had restrained their auras. Lu Ming and the others couldn't detect them at all. When they arrived, they found that the demons had also arrived on the other side. A large group of young demons, led by some demon emperor demons, came to the other side of the round ball. There are so many demons. Lu Ming and the others looked at the demons and found that there were nearly 4,000 young demons. There were about 1,000 more than the heavenly palace. This made many people's hearts sink. This time, there was no limit to the number of people participating in the battle. It only required those under 50,000 years old. As long as they met this condition, they could participate. They didn't expect that there would be so many demons who met the conditions. Naturally, there were more people from the heavenly palace who met the conditions. However, Some of them were in other places and were very far away. They couldn't make it in just a few days. Moreover, there were also a large number of prodigies from the other 4 heavenly palaces. However, there was nothing they could do if they couldn't make it. The people from the heavenly palace are here. Ha ha ha! I heard that they are all geniuses from the heavenly palace. I love eating geniuses from the heavenly palace the most. Eating them will definitely increase my strength and speed up my evolution. Ha ha ha! I'm looking forward to it. Those demon prodigies looked at the heavenly palace and laughed. Most of the demons revealed a ferocious, murderous intent. They weren't afraid at all. Instead, they were full of anticipation. On the heavenly palace's side, some of the young prodigies didn't look good. They really wanted to withdraw. However, at this point, they could only brace themselves. The Lord of Heaven had ordered that if they withdrew, only death would await them. They might even implicate their families behind them. They might as well fight it out and have a chance of survival. Everyone is here. Let's begin. A majestic voice came from high up in the sky. All of you set off. Remember, you must win. If you win this time, the Lord of Heaven will reward you handsomely. The heavenly human tribes, divine generals shouted. Swoosh! Swoosh! At this time, the young demons on the demon side had already rushed toward the ball. The heavenly palace's prodigies also rushed toward the ball. The ball was too big. It was like a planet. Let's call it the temporary planet. Both sides added up to only about 7,000 people. When thrown into a huge planet, it was really like a speck of dust. Lu Ming and Ling Yue mixed in the crowd and also rushed toward the temporary planet. When he got close to the temporary planet, he suddenly felt a powerful force pulling him toward the temporary planet. With a swoosh, Lu Ming rushed into the temporary planet and landed in a place. He realized that Ling Yue, who was originally standing beside him, had completely flown in another direction and disappeared from his sight. Everyone was scattered. As for Qiu Qiu, he was over 50,000 years old. When he first discovered Qiu Qiu on that planet, he was already born, so he didn't come in. Lu Ming let Qiu Qiu follow Dandan first. Bang! Lu Ming landed on a huge rock, crushing the rock and sending gravel flying everywhere. After stabilizing his body, Lu Ming began to look around. Chapter 4073. Lu Ming looked around. In all directions, all he could see were uneven rocks. Some of them were only a few meters tall, while some of them were millions of feet tall. He couldn't see the end of it. There seems to be a strong pressure on this planet, causing the speed of those who are inside to slow down a lot. Lu Ming immediately sensed that something was wrong. He felt that he was under pressure all the time, causing his speed to slow down a lot. Boom! Lu Ming threw a punch. In front of him, a mountain peak that was 100,000 feet tall exploded. Sure enough, this planet was refined by a master-level figure. It's extraordinary, Lu Ming whispered. In the chaotic universe, a single punch from him was enough to destroy a planet. However, here he only destroyed 100,000 feet tall mountain. The destructive power had been weakened countless times. In fact, it wasn't that his destructive power had weakened, but that the rocks here had been refined and were very hard. Thinking about it, it was normal. This time, the participants of the battle were all geniuses above the divine Emperor realm. Any one of them could easily destroy a planet. Although this planet was huge, it was still not enough in front of so many experts. It would be destroyed in a few moves, which was not conducive to the battle between the two sides. However, after being refined by the masters of both sides and laid down restrictions, it was different. They could fight to their heart's content and would not destroy this planet. Moreover, their speed was greatly suppressed. They couldn't fly all over the world in an instant. Let's try the Gale Pearl, Lu Ming's heart stirred. He began to try the Gale Pearl and other divine weapons. The result was self-evident. He couldn't control them at all. It was as if he was in a forbidden weapon domain and was isolated. The Gale Pearl The mysterious ice rod and some other low-level divine weapons were all restricted. Even the dream divine jade and the sound transmission jade talisman couldn't be used. Fortunately, I'm prepared. Lu Ming nodded and put away these divine weapons. Then, with a wave of his hand, he carved a special mark on the ground. This was a mark that he and Ling Yue had discussed beforehand. They had to meet up first. If the two of them worked together, it would be relatively safer. Then Lu Ming flew in the direction where Ling Yue might have fallen. Danger! Lu Ming had only flown a few tens of thousands of li when he sensed danger. His figure came to a stop and backed off rapidly. Whoosh! A saber light slashed in front of him, creating a terrifying crack in the space. Then a gust of wind blew from the ground as a figure rushed up. This was a demon. Its entire body was black and covered with black scales. There were also bone spurs on its body, making it look extremely ferocious. That demon had the strength of the third godly emperor layer. Lu Ming looked calm. A demon of the third godly emperor layer was nothing in his eyes. Brat, it's your bad luck to have met me. Hee hee. I will enjoy you well and turn you into my strength, the abyss devil said ferociously. Your cultivation seems to be lower than mine. Are you so confident that you can take me down? Lu Ming couldn't help but ask. Ha ha ha, a real genius fighting strength isn't determined by cultivation level. Fighting above one's level is a common thing for me. Even if you're a genius, it's still the same. Die! The demon laughed wildly. As soon as he finished speaking, the demon's saber in his hand slashed towards Lu Ming. As soon as he attacked, Lu Ming could roughly estimate the demon's fighting strength. It was about the 6th godly emperor layer. 3rd godly emperor layer, able to fight above 3 levels. In the primitive universe, he was definitely a top genius. No wonder he was so confident. Even if Lu Ming's cultivation level was 1 level higher than his, he wasn't afraid. He had some capital. Unfortunately, he had met Lu Ming. Lu Ming stretched out his hand and grabbed the demon's saber. The demon's saber stopped in the air, unable to slash down. The demon's eyes opened wide. He couldn't believe it. He was talking arrogantly, but he didn't dare underestimate Lu Ming. He had used his full strength in that attack. He hadn't thought that Lu Ming would be able to grab his saber so casually. Break! The demon prodigy hollered. Demonic aura erupted in full force, wanting to split Lu Ming's palm apart. Unfortunately, it didn't move. The demon's saber in Lu Ming's hand seemed to be oppressed by stars. It couldn't move. That's all you've got? Said Lu Ming disdainfully. Die! The demon prodigy roared furiously. The bone spurs on his body left his body and shot toward Lu Ming. They were extremely powerful. However, Lu Ming reached out with his other hand, and there seemed to be shadows of hands in the air. The next moment, the shadows of hands disappeared, and Lu Ming grabbed all the bone spurs in his hands. How is this possible? The demon's eyes widened. He was completely dumbfounded. Lu Ming's strength was too terrifying. Even if he was a level higher than him, he shouldn't be this strong. In front of Lu Ming, he was as weak as a baby. I'll send you on your way. Lu Ming's hand moved. The bone spear in his hand flew out and pierced through the demon's head. The demon directly died. Demon spirit blood, take it! Lu Ming grasped. The demon's demon spirit blood flew into Lu Ming's hand. This drop of demon spirit blood was sparkling and translucent, emitting a dazzling radiance. Not bad. Lu Ming revealed a look of anticipation. This was the demon spirit blood of a demon genius. Its potential was limitless. The amount of merit points it could be exchanged for was absolutely astonishing. He clearly remembered that the demon spirit blood of Demon Prince Samoras had been exchanged for around 60,000 merit points. That demon was able to fight someone 3 levels above him in the divine Emperor realm. Even if he couldn't compare to Samoras, the difference wouldn't be too great. Lu Ming estimated that 20 to 30,000 merit points wouldn't be a problem. The demon spirit blood of a demon genius was worth several tens of thousands of merit points. This was a great harvest. The battle with the evil demons this time was both a crisis and an opportunity. It had to be known that nearly all the demon geniuses participating in this battle were demon geniuses. If he could hunt down enough demon spirit blood, how many merit points would it be worth? After collecting the demon spirit blood in a jade bottle, Lu Ming's figure flashed and he left. After flying for some distance, Lu Ming heard a miserable scream. Up ahead, a genius from the heavenly palace had been killed by 2 demons. One of the demons was still holding the bloody heart of that genius from the heavenly palace. It was chewing on it with relish. As soon as Lu Ming approached, the 2 demons discovered Lu Ming. As soon as they saw Lu Ming, their expressions changed and they quickly retreated. Chapter 4074. When the 2 fiends saw Lu Ming, they retreated. They were both at the second godly emperor layer. Even though they were geniuses, they were still 2 godly emperor layers away from Lu Ming. They didn't feel confident at all. You want to leave? Lu Ming had no intention of letting the other party off. Putting aside the fact that both parties would fight to the death, even if that was not the case, the other party's demon spirit blood was worth a lot of merit points. Lu Ming used the greater divine wind technique and moved like the wind. With a swoosh, he chased after the 2 fiends. In the blink of an eye, the distance between them was shortened. Slash! The 2 fiends attacked with their full strength, each slashing out with a demonic blade. However, Lu Ming easily blocked them. Then 2 fists shot out, piercing through the air and hitting the 2 fiends. The 2 fiends' bodies shattered inch by inch. They had been hit by the greater divine wind technique. In a flash, the 2 fiends' corpses disappeared. 2 drops of fiend spirit blood flew out and Lu Ming put them away. Not bad. Lu Ming nodded in satisfaction. These were all abyssal geniuses with great potential. The amount of merit points they could exchange for would definitely not be small. The more, the better. Swoosh! Lu Ming's figure flickered, and he left, looking for fiends to kill. However, Lu Ming didn't encounter a single fiend for the next hour or so. This was normal. This temporary planet was very large, and both sides only had about 7,000 people. They were scattered all over the planet, and it wasn't easy to meet someone. But Xiao Hai didn't know that Xiao Hai and Zhao Hai were on the same planet. Furthermore, their speed was greatly suppressed here. Their flying speed was very slow, and it was much more difficult to meet other people. Lu Ming was very calm. He continued flying. Every once in a while, he would choose a conspicuous location and make a mark. That way, Ling Yue would know which direction he was going. After a while, Lu Ming's eyes flashed. In front of him, a young man was standing on a protruding rock. This young man looked like a human. He wore a long black robe and stood against the wind. He was very handsome. When he saw Lu Ming, he stepped into the air and headed straight for Lu Ming. Devil, Lu Ming muttered. A round pearl appeared in his hand. It was the demon-fixing pearl. At this moment, the demon-fixing orb was flickering with light. The demon-fixing orb's reaction meant that the other party was a demon. However, Lu Ming didn't sense any demonic aura from this person. That made Lu Ming think of the 8 snake demon kingdoms, Prince Samoros. This was a person who had awakened the bloodline of the demon progenitor. The black-robed youth stopped when he saw the demon-fixing pearl in Lu Ming's hand. He sneered, "Is this your so-called demon-fixing pearl? So what if you have discovered me? You are still going to die. Whoosh!" As soon as the black-robed young man's voice fell, his body was filled with a strong devil chi. His figure was like a bolt of lightning as he rushed towards Lu Ming. "Evil demon, fire!" shouted the black-robed young man. Flames emerged from his body and turned into an ugly monster. It looked like a snake, but it wasn't a snake. It looked like a tiger, but it wasn't a tiger. It moved towards Lu Ming to kill him. Before it even reached him, Lu Ming could already sense a scorching qi and a disgusting odor. Not only was the fire hot, but it was also extremely poisonous. Boom! Lu Ming struck with his palm and cast the great divine wind technique. A gust of wind swept out and blocked the monster that was condensed from flames. "Let's see how many you can block." 10,000 demons slaughter, shouted the black-robed young man furiously. His demon chi boiled and a dozen monsters condensed. They all rushed towards Lu Ming from different directions. Actually, this demon wasn't bad. He had the strength of the fourth godly emperor layer and had awakened the bloodline of the demon progenitor. He wasn't any weaker than Samoro's. Ordinary cultivators of the seventh godly emperor layer would be killed by him, but his opponent was Lu Ming. Lu Ming also had the strength of the fourth godly emperor layer. At the same level, there was a huge difference between Lu Ming and the black-robed young man. "Is that all you've got? With your potential, you should be worth 60,000 merit points. I'll take you." Lu Ming's cold voice sounded, following which Lu Ming's palm shook and a terrifying force erupted in all directions. Those monsters that were condensed from flames instantly exploded and dissipated. A terrifying strength bombarded the black-robed young man. He gave a horrible shriek and his bones broke. He was propelled backwards. "Your fighting strength, your fighting strength," shouted the black-robed young man. The demonic youth roared in disbelief. He was at the same level as Lu Ming, but Lu Ming had crushed him. He knew he had encountered a peerless genius from the heavenly palace. He wanted to run away, but it was too late. Lu Ming's figure flashed past, and the young man's body was torn into pieces. He died on the spot. When Lu Ming's figure reappeared, there was already a drop of demon spirit blood in his hand. That drop of demon blood isn't any weaker than the prince of the snake demon kingdom. It should be worth 60,000 merit points, thought Lu Ming, smiling. After encountering so many waves of demon geniuses, Lu Ming felt a lot more relaxed. He judged that the cultivation of the two sides in this battle, whether it was the demons or the heavenly palace, would not be too high or too exaggerated. After all, the people who were participating this time were all under 50,000 years old. 50,000 years was like the blink of an eye for a godly emperor, not to mention godly emperors. Some people could meditate in seclusion for more than 50,000 years. Very few people could break through to the godly emperor layer within 50,000 years. Not only did it require incredible talent, but it also required a huge amount of resources. In fact, the people from the heavenly palace who were qualified to participate this time were all from the top clans. Most of them were from the top 10 clans. A few of them were from the top 100 clans. There were some clans from the bottom 100 clans, but they were too few. The higher the rank of the primitive era's 10,000 clans, the more talented the clans were. Another reason was that they had more resources. That was why they could reach such a high cultivation level within 50,000 years. But after all, they hadn't lived for 50,000 years. No matter how talented they were, no matter how many resources they had, their cultivation levels wouldn't be too high. Lu Ming thought that there shouldn't be any great supreme gods among the people who were participating this time. Maybe there weren't even any cultivators above the seventh godly emperor layer. Therefore, Lu Ming was a little more confident. After putting away the evil demon spirit blood, Lu Ming left the place and continued to hunt for evil demons. In the blink of an eye, 3 days passed. During this time, Lu Ming also met other people from the heavenly palace. Some people from the heavenly palace invited Lu Ming to join forces with them, but Lu Ming refused. It was because their cultivation levels were too low. Lu Ming didn't like them. If they wanted to join forces, they should at least be on the same level. At the very least, the difference between them shouldn't be too big. They should be helpful to Lu Ming. If they couldn't help Lu Ming, they might even be a burden to Lu Ming. Why would Lu Ming want to join forces with them? You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.